There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
How the heck are you?
Yep, that's it. Miller.
This could end the bro hug. That would be great for you because there is nobody worse at the bro hug than one David Moulton.
And Moulton.
I used to be. 2019, I found my bro hug group.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on this Thursday, the 14th of May. Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. You know the drill by now. We stream this and every show on the station at foxsportsfm.com. You could be looking live at Miller and Moulton Broadcast, the Miller and Moulton Show on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. Mark, it was 9 weeks ago today. 9 weeks ago today. Maybe this will be the poll question. It was 9 weeks ago today the sports world began shutting down. How long does it feel? We can start with 9 weeks and then figure out 2 or 3 creative answers afterwards, with D being infinity.
It's not infinity. It's 9 weeks. We had a UFC event last week. We had another one last night. We have an auto race this weekend. We've got golf in a little while. I am going to start having to be the glass half full part of this show.
Whatever. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm good. Got a great night.
You played golf yesterday.
Went to bed early because I had a few beverages around my day.
No, come on now.
It's tough. That 1 o'clock tee time's tough because then there are really no rules to say, should I really start now?
Boy, you had the Thursday late tee time for television. In
yes.
other words, so you're off early this morning.
Right.
That's what it means.
Right.
I always loved that. You always knew that Tiger and Phil would be, one would be in the morning Thursday, one would be in the afternoon because they would flip it for Friday for television purposes. So, and then when it wasn't Phil, whoever was number 2 at the time, but usually they wanted Tiger early on Thursday and late on Friday. They wanted the guy in red in the afternoon.
That's right. And every once in a while, it would work out to his disadvantage when he was across the pond. It's the only time, during his run, he only got Britished once.
Right. It was a key once, though. He had won the first 2 legs of the Grand Slam, and he was very much in contention. I think it was 0-2, wasn't it?
Well, I know the 1 year, I don't even, if he missed the cut or barely made it. He had 1 year where they just got it. He got the afternoon Thursday and the morning Friday, and you just didn't want that draw, and it was lights out. Goodbye.
Yep, it happens, although not this year. Not this year. I wonder if there's an event or two out there that canceled maybe a little too soon, and now they're going, maybe we shouldn't have been that hasty.
Well,
maybe we could have held off. I
know you had talked about this with the British Open, that we were pretty certain it was an insurance type of reason.
Yes. I think, in fact, they were within like 4 or 5 days from an insurance standpoint, they had to make the call.
So they made the call, and from a business standpoint, it's the right call, David, because there's no way they would have been able to conduct the tournament at any point this summer with fans. So it would not have made the money that they probably were able to get away with claiming in the insurance part of this. But too early as far as canceling the tournament? Hell yes. You mentioned this yesterday, and I've thought about it here and there. You have years that things were canceled, and it just simply said, World War II.
Yep.
David and I, only kids, grew up reading a lot of, whether it was encyclopedias or sports books or whatever. We're both similar in that regard.
Almanacs, baby.
World War II.
Yep.
And if they had pandemic, we're fine with it. But if the real reason we don't have the British Open this year is not because of the coronavirus, it's because of an insurance payout.
Right.
That doesn't sit well with anyone.
Right. Now, it won't be listed that way. Right. It'll just be, canceled pandemic or canceled, coronavirus. But it really should read canceled. We took the insurance money.
It's what it should. Yes. We were talking about baseball. If they can't work this out and they end up having a labor dispute over not playing and the season is canceled, it's not going to sit well. But
No.
I think you're on to something, that there are a lot of folks that probably would have rather held off. And in the midst of all of that, a league held off for months, and we had no idea. Because
Correct.
2 days ago, the American Hockey League announced that they have canceled the rest of their 2019-2020 season. And I said it to David during a break on Tuesday when I noticed it. I'm like, wait a minute. The AHL just canceled their season? I thought they did that 8 weeks ago.
Could have sworn that when the ECHL season got canceled, that the AHL season was canceled along with it. I thought all of minor league hockey was wiped away in one fell swoop. So, and something that I wrote down for the starting five is that apparently the AHL already looking ahead, not sure as to what next year will look like. And some teams have already said, well, I'm just letting you know right now, if we can't sell tickets, we're not going to play. Don't know what to tell you.
We've been hinting at this for a while.
Yeah.
The big boy leagues can make money and be profitable with their television contracts. Now,
Or at
yesterday's
the very least, they can pay their bills. They can go about their business. Bills can get paid. But Mark, minor league sports, it's all about tickets.
right. But major league sports, yesterday towards the end of our show, the Wall Street Journal put out an article that basically 50% of third quarter ad revenue was canceled yesterday. There's a clause that hit May 1, you buy this TV time far in advance. Well, if they're canceling third quarter, just want to let everybody know what third quarter is. Becomes the beginning of football season.
Yep.
September is part of the third quarter. That's football money. And these TV companies that were paying for advertisement all through this, we're going to start seeing that dry up. It's dried up with local radio advertising. We know that factually.
And local TV to some degree.
I'm sure. But this will hit them because these national buys come into local markets. Interesting.
It's also an indicator as to what some of the big companies are thinking as to what the economy will be like in the third quarter.
That's what scares the crap out of me.
Sure, because obviously we're wanting it to come back as quickly as possible, and that's their way of saying, we don't think it's going to really be back in the third quarter.
Now, hopefully they're all wrong.
Right.
And things are coming back, and advertisers are rushing to the TV and radio stations to get the word out that they're back open and we're all working and everybody's making some money. But that was an indicator to me that they're not. David just pointed out that AHL teams have said, I don't know what to tell you. We don't have fans. We can't play. Well, that's obviously the case for every minor league because the AHL is the best hockey minor league in the world. AAA baseball would be its equivalent on the baseball side. Well, they're not playing. We already know that.
Not this year.
Which means double A and single A and all that, the muscles and everything else is done. Well, the Everblades start in October. If you can't have fans in the ECHL, there's no sense of playing games in the ECHL.
No, Blades can't make money. I mean, there's sponsorship money, but not enough.
But the sponsorship money for people to see the dasher boards while they're attending the games.
Right. So
not like their radio deal gives them enough to make money.
It does not. 479-5551 is how you can chime into Miller and Moulton, either by calling into the show or by texting in at 479-5551. But, well, just throwing it out there, we both thought at the time, and I think we think it now, that just from a competing standpoint, not from a business standpoint, we thought that the Open Championship may have canceled things a little too soon. The one event that rescheduled, in which when they rescheduled it, we both thought it was optimistic, and now it's looking more and more as if they made a mistake, is the PGA. PGA was scheduled for this week, I believe.
Right.
I believe the PGA was supposed to start today. And they quickly rescheduled, and they rescheduled for, I believe it's the second weekend in August. I think 6th through the 9th, something like that. And it's in Harding Park, which is a public course in the San Francisco Bay Area. And we both thought when they moved it and that they only pushed it back to early August, we went, wonder if that's going to give them enough time. Because, not only do you have to be open for the fans and all that, but you need about 3 months' time to do all the construction on site that you want to do, whether there's the suites and all the building that gets done on the course. You need 2 to 3 months, 2 minimum, but you need about 3 months to build everything out the way you want to build it out.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen.
Well, that's now. I mean, that means they got to be building now.
Well, first off, it's in California.
Well, correct.
There's no building going on in California before the 1st of August.
Right.
And it's highly likely that there's no building going on in California after the 1st of August. So the PGA with fans in California is not happening.
It certainly doesn't seem it.
No.
It seems as if it's happening, it's just going to be golfers.
Bingo. That's the only chance they have of hosting that event at the venue they have planned on hosting it. If not, you better start looking in Texas or one of the states that's going to be open by then.
Yeah, in early August, too. Boy, that'd be hot. That's the one thing. You've got states like Arizona and Florida who their governors have raised their hand like, hey, you want to come and hold something, we're open for business. You don't necessarily want to be playing a major golf tournament the second weekend in August in Arizona and Florida.
No.
So
South Carolina will be available.
What, put it on Kiowa?
Yeah.
Boy, they'd be like, really? Wait, this course is hard. Wait, are you sure? I think we'd rather skip a year. I don't know.
Tell you what, I would
play this.
The way the winds were yesterday, I wish that sucker was starting today in Florida. It was a blowing yesterday. That was a 2.5 clubber yesterday.
I love those 3 club wins.
Woo!
Oh, I love it. Just get that thing airborne.
Nothing like hitting that 160-yard 4-iron into the wind yesterday.
Or you can always go the other way, standing. I mean, at least good thing here is we don't have any elevation. In other parts of the country, you get that 2-3 club wind, you get an elevated tee or something like that. You're like, oh boy, how far are you going to hit this wedge? About 180.
Or on the other side, right? about 6. I'm hoping it doesn't come back to me.
Exactly. I'm just hoping to reach the women's tee with
right.
this. If I'm going to play it back on my stance, hood the club, hit it really hard. Miller and Moulton on this fine Thursday.
Poll question yesterday, David, in shocking fashion. Shocking fashion. I've never been more stunned at a poll question that we've ever had. Alcohol sales are way up. How's it going in your house?
Mm-hmm.
Drinking the same or less, 1.
Wow.
I think you're all liars.
Come on now. Don't accuse our audience right off the hop of being a bunch
you
of liars.
Lying blankety blanks.
That's not true. It just means the rest of you could be making up for it. That's all. Like, I'm the same or less. I'm drinking less.
I do like that Rick said drinking less, but drinking every day also.
Okay. Well, then is that then drinking less?
Well, he's probably maybe just having 1 or 2. There's no big benders, but he has 1 every night now as opposed to having, 7 or 8 on Saturday and 7 or 8 on Sunday. I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Rick, if you're doing it every day, at the end of the week, what's your drink total? If it's still less, okay, good
Infinity.
for you. Yes. So that's where you needed infinity. Is that what you're saying?
Infinity.
So what was the percentages?
43% drinking the same or less, 30% drinking more, and 26% are just letting it rip.
All right. So in other words, though, it was 57% are drinking more.
Yes.
So it's just various degrees of more. So that should make you feel a little better. You know, you are in touch with your peeps. You guys, 4 out of 7 of you are drinking more. 3 out of 7 are drinking the same or less. And the reason that I'm in the same or less is I don't do much, if any, drinking at home. I do my drinking out. And obviously, up until a handful of days ago, it was tough to do your drinking out.
Have you had a drink out yet? Have you gone anywhere
No.
and had a drink?
No. Nope. Everything's takeout. I'm just ordering. Now I've picked up a 10-pack or a 12-pack at a couple of places, which for me is, something I hadn't done in 15 years. I mean, I literally had not had booze in the house since our daughter was really young. I mean, pretty much since we moved into the house. We've been living in this house 18 years. And I would say for damn near all of it, I have not had booze in the house. But I'm my 2 drinks a night guy if I go out. That's why I love college basketball season. On the way home from FGCU games, boom, stop off, have a couple. They play 2-3 times a week. That's fantastic. That's awesome. That might be my favorite part of the college basketball season. I mean, I love the games, but the 2-3 beers after the games, at a watering hole right by the house. I just love that. Watch the early games end on the TVs, watch the late games start. You asked me a couple of weeks ago, what is it you're most looking forward to? I really am. I would just love a day at a sports bar. Gary, even give me 3-4 hours. Give me one really big game that I can watch from start to finish. And you sit down, you order a big drink, and then you're going to eat. Start with the big plate of nachos, and then you're going to decide at halftime whether or not you're going to, go for round 2.
And by round 2, you mean of food.
Right.
Right. Just checking.
Yes.
Just checking.
Yep. That's what, you wanted to go to the beach, and, my dream is really, really simple. That's all. Maybe on an outdoor deck even, by the end of the game, music starts up. That's it. That's my dream right there. That's my bucket list. That's what it's been reduced to, Mark. That's my bucket list. Yep. A 3-4 hour experience at a sports bar on a deck. Start with a plate of nachos, then maybe have a little something in the second half of the game. Get serious about eating. Couple 2-3 drinks, little music by the end. Don't even care if the team wins or loses. Whatever. Here we go. Let's call it a day. Come home. Wife goes, how'd it go? Best 3-4 hours of my life. That's what it would feel like at this point. It's kind of like when you haven't had a drink in a while, and then all of a sudden you have that first sip of whatever it is. But if I'm a beer drinker, if that first, it's cold and you've been a couple 2-3 weeks and you haven't had it, and all of a sudden, boom, and it's like, this is the greatest taste of my life. That's my dream, Mark. I wake up at 3:30 every morning in a sweat. That's what I'm dreaming of. Nope. It's stopped. I've stopped dreaming of Holly Berry and Elizabeth Shue. Okay, now it's just a plate of nachos and a tall Miller Lite with sports on the TV on an outside deck. That's what it's been reduced to, Mark.
Wow.
That's it. Yep.
I mean, I must say, David, that doesn't sound really all that exciting to me, but the way in which you said it, the way you delivered it with the love, I mean, it sounded like a romance novel.
Yes.
I mean, you read that as if I was getting one of those Judy Collins books read to me on an audiobook.
Yeah, or you're on your way to the flight, and in the, how many times do you see, and I see this, sorry to stereotype, see this much more with women than men, but, it's the flight, and it's going to be a couple hours, and they decided they need that cheesy book that they need to read on the flight. They need their sex, okay, in the form of a book. And they grab it in the hotel, not the hotel, in the airport there on the way to the flight. Yep, that's how I view those nachos. That's how I'm viewing those tall beers.
There's no doubt. There is no doubt that there's a level of excitement that just came with that. Level of excitement from that nacho plate. And, hey, who doesn't love a good nacho? David, I just want to tell you, tomorrow, Food Network, Guy Fieri taking on Bill Murray in the nacho battle. I think after this monologue, it may be a necessity for you.
I don't know if I could handle it, Mark. I might have a heart attack just watching it. Miller and Moulton. 21 minutes past the hour. The starting five is coming up. We got a good show today. 8 o'clock hour, we have both Bud Elliott and Pat Kerwin. Talk a lot of football. First
Fired up to talk to Bud.
Variety, and then of the pro variety. It's been a while since we've talked to Bud. He's been busy.
And there's a lot, that's what I mean. There's a lot going on in his world right now. He's talking about the decommitments that are coming because there's been a lot of early commitments, and he thinks that will lead to a lot of decommitments in the college football world. And I know David will probably ask how that's going to affect Tennessee because they have been killing it on the recruiting trail.
Best 3 weeks that Tennessee has had, arguably, since Philip Fulmer has been their coach. That's how well things are going in Knoxville. Bud Elliott and Pat Kerwin to join us both in the 8 o'clock hour. The starting five is next. We'll come up with a poll question. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for waking up with us. Hope things are going okay for you. Thanks so much for listening to Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Receiving over.
Alexa, play Fox Sports FM on TuneIn.
LeBron has shown his greatness. Kevin Durant's a better player.
Sorry, I don't know that one.
Smart speaker.
Are we cheering for idiots? What's going on?
Sounds more like a dumb speaker, am I right?
You're an idiot. Nice job.
Get Southwest Florida sports talk delivered to your speaker.
This is easy.
Just say, Alexa,
Hello.
play Fox Sports FM on TuneIn.
Finally, something worthwhile.
I didn't think it was going to be this easy.
We are Fox Sports.
State Farm understands we're all living a new normal. To any of our customers currently facing financial burdens, call your State Farm agent or go to statefarm.com because we're here to help. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
We've got our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples, on the phone. We're talking about their huge selection and great pricing on Core-Tec flooring. Tim, tell us what's new at the store.
Right now we have 90 colors of Core-Tec in stock, ready to go, pick up, put down as soon as you want it. Everything from starting at $299 on up with lifetime warranty.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tec that you have. You also have other Core-Tec products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tec stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tec, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tec wood. Look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floor Meisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online, floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
Pool need a checkup? Call the doctor, the Pool Doctor.
Hi, Dr. Mark here. Heat pumps take heat out of the air and put it in your pool. They cost less to run than gas heaters, and you won't have panels on your roof. Special pricing, rebates, and free on-site evaluations. We're a family company, and for over 40 years, we've been doing business right.
The prescription is the Pool Doctor for award-winning pool service, repairs, and unheard of $39 diagnostic calls. That's mypooldoctor.com or 239-574-1133. State certified CPC 057088.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new membership pricing starts as low as $99. Call 239-945-1660 64 for more information, or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
Listen to the Dan Patrick Show at work.
Never boring, that's for sure.
Streaming 24/7 at foxsportsfm.com.
We are Fox Sports.
This is Brian Creel here with my son Trace from Creel Tractor Company. We are open for business and taking all precautions necessary. We have teamed up with Kubota Tractor offering curbside pickup for your parts and parts delivery. And the service department is open and ready to assist with any repairs here or at your location. Kubota is offering discounts on parts for all your Kubota products and no payments for 90 days on new products. Creel Tractor. Dig up a great deal at Creel.
Right now, get 0% financing and no payments for 90 days. Offer expires May 31st. Visit KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Creel Tractor since 1972.
You own a home with a tile or shingle roof? You live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island? Hello, I'm Jimmy Williamson with Williamson Brothers Roofing. If you answered yes to either question, it's very likely your roof suffered damage from Hurricane Irma that's not visible from the ground, and you may very well be entitled to a new roof for little or no money out of pocket. But you only have a 3-year window to make a claim, and time is running out. If you have a tile or shingle roof and live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island, call us at 239-283-2013. It's a free, no-obligation inspection that can benefit you in the form of a new roof. Williamson Brothers Roofing, we deal with the insurance carrier for you. Call us at 239-283-2013. Again, time is running out. Call us at 239-283-2013. Williamson Brothers Roofing specializes in the claims process. We have experts standing by. We get claims approved. 239-283-2013.
Why would someone take a chance on purchasing a frameless shower door from a big box store or an online discounter of an obscure brand, and then try and find a licensed, qualified installer to put it in, when you can deal directly with a local, family-owned business that consults, measures, manufactures, and installs their own award-winning brand of shower doors? My Shower Door is a family-owned and operated business and has the highest ratings on Angie's List and Home Advisor. Want to see more? Go to myshowerdor.com.
Here we go! Now back to Miller and Moulton.
No.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
28 minutes past 6 o'clock on this Thursday morning. It is the 14th of May. Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com and broadcasting live once again on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. You can chime into the show on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line 479-5551, 479-5551. While Miller and Moulton puts their heads together and try to come up with a poll question. It is time now for
the starting five. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton starting 5. Fox Sports Radio and foxsportsfm.com.
I have to admit, Mark, today is the first day that I really feel as if there is very little meat on the sports bone. Don't know about you, but like when these are the biggest stories that are out there, the NBA has extended their deadline to when guys can withdraw from the draft. I mean, after all, it doesn't make sense. All the pre-draft stuff's canceled. The draft right now is not going to take place at the end of June. Why? Well, because we don't know the order in which teams are drafting in. So if the draft and everything before it's not happening when it's supposed to, why should kids have to make up their minds right now whether or not they are staying in the draft or not? That is one of the things, you know, like football, another advantage, Mark, that they had was that they had their draft order. You know, whereas here you are, you got basketball, you got hockey. I mean, if you're hell-bent on restarting the season, well, then you don't have a draft order. So you can't do anything even during the offseason here to give your fans something to chew on, to get ahead of the game for next year even, because you're still playing this year. I mean, I will say this. I thought baseball should have moved up their draft. I thought baseball should have had their draft like last week, or they should have it this month, because it's based on how you finished last year.
And it would be the first time ever that people would actually pay an ounce of attention to your draft, because there's nothing else to pay attention to.
Thank you.
Who is this 18-year-old or that whomever, that the Tigers or whoever's drafted, who was horrible last year, drafts first? Who is this 18-year-old from California that they're drafting? What about this kid? Is he as good as Bryce? Does he have Bryce Harper potential? Hey, let the draft guys talk. Absolutely.
And for those of you who pay attention to the baseball draft, all 9 of you here in the baseball hour, you know this. But, Mark, virtually no one comes to the MLB studios, which I think are in New Jersey. All right? Nobody comes to them for the draft. I mean, honestly, like Bud Selig and then Rob Manfred are up there, and they're announcing players, and there's virtually nobody. Unlike the NFL draft, where just about every first-round pick is on site. Well, this year, you actually could have damn near every single guy drafted in the first round, in which you do a Zoom with them. You actually see who they are. You get to meet them for 3 minutes. In fact, I believe maybe the first draft that they did from the MLB studios, there was like one first-rounder that showed up, Mike Trout, because he's from Southern Jersey. So he just drove an hour or so up the road, and that's why he was there. And literally, he was the only guy drafted in the first round that year who was in the MLB studios, in which actually he could sit down on the set and talk to Harold Reynolds and the like. Whereas this time, they could have everybody. And like you pointed out, most people, they don't know anything about it, and they may not care, but it's like NASCAR on Sunday. We know most of you aren't into left-hand turns, but you haven't had sports for 2 months. You going to sample the NASCAR race from Darlington late Sunday afternoon? I think there's a chance you're flipping through the channels and you give it a half hour. I mean, Mark will. And Mark doesn't, unless it's the Daytona 500, Mark, you don't stop and sample a race.
Usually.
I know it because your son's really into
it.
Well,
no. Ross Chastain. If he's been racing now, Ross Chastain has got me enough. And the 500, because we end up getting winners. My goodness, we've had some pretty good NASCAR drivers on here in the last few months. So, Joey Logano is a blankety blank out there to a lot of people. When he comes on our show, he's great for 10 to 12 minutes.
Right. We've been lucky with Harvick and Logano and a few others. And from our first act, Matt Kenseth is back since he's filling in for Kyle Larson after he imploded.
David, quickly, because you brought up the MLB draft. I saw this right as we were coming on the air this morning and meant to say it to you off air, but you love the draft. Peter Gammons tweeted out draft memories this morning, and I don't know if you saw this, David. Roger Clemens was the 11th pitcher taken in the first round, the 19th pick. The Red Sox wanted Michigan right-handed pitcher Rich Stoll, taken 14th by the Expos. If the Expos take Clemens in 89, it says, would they have traded Randy Johnson for Mark Langston? If Seattle, but just one of those things that the Red Sox actually wanted Rich Stoll.
Mark, Roger Clemens was originally drafted by the Mets. And over about $10,000, he went to the University of Texas for 3 years instead, and then re-entered the draft, and the Red Sox got him. To think that the Mets could have had both Clemens and Gooden at the same time, and they didn't, over about 10 grand. And also because a scout's trip got canceled. They were supposed to go see him pitch, and right before, and they didn't get to him. And so because of it, he fell a few rounds later than they think he would have because he had a great performance. And because of it, their offer was a little too low, and he ended up going to Texas.
And, I mean, we do it in football all the time. Can you imagine the unknowns in baseball? How many busts were taken? I mean, you talk about the NFL bust ratio. Major League Baseball, particularly then, had to be 10 times.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not a crapshoot, but it's close. First round of the MLB draft.
It's gotten better recently because there's just more data and there's more things to study. But when you're talking in the 80s, it was a crapshoot.
Very much so. Very much so. College football news. He didn't play for LSU last year. He was suspended for quote-unquote conditioning reasons. But he was expected to be one of their top wide receivers this year. 6'6" graduate student D. Anderson instead has decided to transfer to Oklahoma State. So remember that name, D. Anderson. He'll be catching passes at Oklahoma State. That's, of course, if we are throwing passes at Oklahoma State. And speaking of throwing passes, Noah Vedral was supposed to be the quarterback to lead Nebraska back to prominence. Well, that didn't happen, and now he's transferred to Rutgers. And I still really wonder, Rutgers, by the way, announced yesterday also there will be no more cash at their stadium. To get in, it'll all be on a card, and they are saying it's to try to reduce the amount of contact that people have to have. And obviously the New York metropolitan area has had this worse than anyone else. But I really wonder, Mark, if Rutgers can play football this year. I mean, with how slow, and, you know, I talked to my mom yesterday. We hear from Seth all the time, and which they're like, yeah, I don't know if how open, like if we're a flower, I don't know how open we're going to be in August. And so, you know, goes back to how many conferences may play this year and have one or two teams in the conference go, yeah, we're not ready, or we're not ready until October. So what does that mean? Do you forfeit the games in September? I mean,
and David,
be tricky.
David, and to me, it's bigger than that in this sense. The financial burden on the universities to just continue the 1 year of the spring sport athlete scholarships was astronomical. How would you even approach doing it in football?
Well, never mind. If you're the Big Ten, would you have sympathy for Rutgers, and would the other 13 members, like if Rutgers just says, hey guys, from a health standpoint, we can't go. We just can't. We can't open up. We can't have the students on campus. We can't do it. If you're the Big Ten, are you accepting of that? Or are you actually going to use it as a way to get Rutgers out of the conference? Or are you accepting of it, but you're not going to let them get any cash from this year? Like, you're not going to divvy it up 14 ways. You're going to say, okay, fine, but if you're not playing, you ain't getting any of our money.
Well, first off, they're not getting any money if they don't play. They're just not. That would be the simplest. As far as kicking them out, I don't know if this would justify the Big Ten bylaws. I'm not even going to suppose what that would mean. But I just think that even in the Big Ten, financially, what this could do to the Rutgers athletic department. You know, we mentioned this with the MAC schools last week, and you brought it up with what they're dumping in their conference tournaments. I think Central Michigan is down 12% in attendance. You know, how many kids are going back to Rutgers?
Oh, you just mean an enrollment?
Yeah, but okay. David, enrollment has to do with the financial parts of these schools. They ding every kid for money.
Well, we said, I mean, and there are people listening right now who are parents of a graduating high school senior. Their kid's college career is supposed to begin in August, wherever it was that they were planning on it to begin. Is your kid going? I mean, first semester of their freshman year, are they going? My guess is you haven't made that decision yet. My guess is you've held their place in the university, whether it be in 4 or 5 classes first semester, in housing, and that you probably have a drop dead date of some kind in which you can pull out. And then you have to figure out, you know, can you keep your place in the school for second semester? Are you going to have to take your classes there online, which might be a lot more expensive than if you took them somewhere else online? I mean, Seth yesterday on the show, he's an adjunct professor at Syracuse, in which he got the email in which he said, yeah, you've already had 19 kids drop your class. Now, how many of those are because they're not even going to be on campus? They've made the decision. Well, I ain't going to be there for the class.
Right. And Seth also said a lot of it was, hey, this is an elective. They're going to take the meat and potatoes. They're not having a side dish right now. It's not time for one of those. So, yes, David, I know we're sports, but it's where you can get out of the sports lane when we start talking about college athletics, because it's more than that. The pro part's easy.
Yes.
It's TV contracts, no fans, we're fine. But the whole collegiate scene is in huge upheaval right now.
Yeah. I mean, I know I said this weeks ago, and some people took me to task for it. I believe the entire college model can crumble because of this. Much like Miller and Moulton believe there's going to be a lot less office space renewed in the future because businesses are going to realize that they can have more of their employees work from home, et cetera. So why do I need to buy all this commercial real estate? Well, if parents and the students figure out that they can go to school from home, and you know what? Yeah, I miss out on the on-campus experience, but I also get to save $100,000. So you know what? I'm going to save the $100,000 and I'm going to do this thing online. Well, the entire college system that's been created crumbles. Now, a new system will emerge, but the existing, what's the University of Michigan without being on campus and playing football? It's Southern New Hampshire University.
Well, look, David, it becomes U of M Dearborn, U of M Flint. Those schools don't mean, it's still U of M, but you're not in Ann Arbor. If you're going to University of Wisconsin La Crosse, you're not in Madison. You're part of the Wisconsin school system, but you're not in Madison.
And it's why we have believed that it's not just, everybody's been talking about, well, they're going to play football for money for the athletic department. And while the two of us believe that, we believe that why every university is going to try like hell to have their kids on campus is because the entire system is at stake. If they go one full year without kids on campus, people may realize there's another way to skin this cat, and they may not go back to how we used to do it.
Right. And, okay, just look, I live a stone's throw from FGCU. Has anybody looked at the growth around here? In our little corridor of Estero, South Fort Myers? What's going on Alico Road? I mean, just the growth of that mall. Everything has grown where? Right by the university. Well, if there's not 20,000 kids there in the fall, logically, it's going to affect all the businesses that are opening. I mean, I think we've opened 7 new Starbucks around this campus in the last 3 months. And David's wife can only drive to so many of them a day.
Right. Exactly. She only knows the employees at 4 of them. Moving on, the Miami Marlins have announced to about 90 to 100 of their employees that as of June 1st, you will be furloughed. Now, I will give Derek Jeter and the organization credit for this. Going back to late March, Jeter stopped getting paid, and Jeter earns $5 million annually. So Derek Jeter's foregoed his salary, and front office staff took pay cuts. But the Marlins will pay their employees through May, and then 90 to 100 staffers will be furloughed beginning June 1st. Remember, the Rays announced over a month ago that they were furloughing and cutting people's pay beginning May 1st. The hope is, obviously, that baseball comes to some sort of deal here, and this furlough lasts 1 to 2 weeks, because then we'll be back playing baseball. Mark, big change in the NBA. They're switching basketballs. Spalding has made the NBA basketball for 36 years. They'll finish this season and they'll get one more. And then that's it. And then the NBA is going back to the company that apparently made their original basketball, Wilson, beginning in the 21-22 season.
Do you remember when they new coked this? Was it back in the 90s they brought the new ball in, and it was the same one that Romo tried to hold for the extra point that went through his hands?
Right. Yes, David Stern in like 3 days said, this ain't going to work. I can't even hold it at the press conference. It slipped out of my hand. Okay? And the guys all basically shot it for like a preseason game or something, and they're like, this thing sucks. We can't.
They couldn't hold on to it. It was awful. Yep. It was the new Coke of basketballs.
Right. And it lasted 48 hours. David Stern was like, all those old ones, bring them back. Bring them back. Guys, you got to work on this. It may look pretty, but it sucks. Don't know what to tell you. Michael Jordan said he can't shoot with it. Fix it. MLS, this is their grand plan. Bring everybody to Orlando.
Yep.
All 26 franchises, get them there by the 1st of June, and they give them 3+ weeks to get in shape and then begin some sort of, they're basically calling it a tournament. I mean, 26 teams. I don't know how you're doing it, but the MLS is going to try to resume and do it all in Orlando. Boy, there's going to be a lot going on in Orlando. I mean, potentially you got the NBA, you got the entire MLS. I mean, you know, it just seems as if there'll be a lot going on. And we said this earlier, the American Hockey League, which to hockey is AAA, that some teams have already let the league know, I don't know what to tell you. If we can't have fans in the fall when we start up for next year, some of us are not going to open our doors, which will cause problems for some of those organizations. After all, they send their top prospects to the AHL. And if the team is like, I don't know what to tell you, we're not playing, I guess all those guys are going to do is practice and not play. I mean, this is what happens because a lot of the teams do not own the AAA franchise. So you have an independent owner who's going to be like, we ain't playing. And the organization's going to be like, I'm sending you my top prospects. You got to play. We got to see them play. And the owner's going, well, then you pay us. I don't know what to tell you.
Right. Because they pay, there's a contractual agreement for the rights to these players, but you got to have fans to make money in the AHL. And they draw now. The A's done a really good job of moving themselves out west. The Kings, a lot of them own their own teams, but some don't.
Right. And the A does draw well. Draws high single digits. Some places they even draw low double digits in terms of thousands of fans per game. And that mark is...
The starting five. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton Starting 5. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
At 13 minutes before 7 o'clock, Miller and Moulton will come up with our poll question, then get into the meat of the show. Thanks so much for being with us on this Thursday, the 14th of May. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Welcome to the program.
This is the Dan
Green Bay
Patrick
Packers,
Show.
when you move up from 30 to 26, that's not he fell into your lap. And here's what Aaron Rodgers had to say. This is before the Packers selected Jordan Love last night.
Yeah, we haven't picked a skill player in the first round in the last 15 years, so that'd be kind of cool.
Well, you got your skill position player. He's called a quarterback.
Dan Patrick. The Dan Patrick Show. Weekdays at 9 a.m. on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R. Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. I've been repairing and replacing roofs for 27 years.
If they go to Orlando, they'll do it at Disney.
Integrity, knowledge, and service. Google DRM Roofing or call 239-332-1441.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
A big part of enjoying a
Which is most likely to happen, David? NBA cancels season, NHL cancels season.
Take long for us to do something about it.
Turns out
NFL starts late.
In the world are right here in our area at Community Eye Center.
We really care about improving people's lives by improving their vision.
That's about all I got right now, unless you got something different. Because
unless you want to put MLB doesn't start at all.
That was I wanted to figure out. Yeah, MLB doesn't start at all. MLB.
Hi, this is Dr. Scheibel from Community Eye
So
Center.
NBA cancels, NHL cancels.
MLB cancels.
Don't be a spreader. The coronavirus is so tiny, 100 million particles fit on the head of a pin.
Just those
As
three.
we run around in our trucks
Leave football out of it. Let's not
and
depress
go
people.
fishing and go to work and do the things we like to do. We are spreading the virus. The virus can only.
I wish I could stop that noise. I thought I did. Thank you, Seth, for hosting us, but I can't for the life of me figure out. Someone's. I've turned every notification off 6 ways but sideways. And it still does it. And it's really annoying.
Selection and great pricing on Cortec flooring. Tim, tell us what's new at the store.
Right now we have 90 colors of Cortec in stock, ready to go pick up, put down as soon as you want it. Everything from starting at $299 on up with lifetime warranty.
And it's not just the many colors of Cortec that you have. You also have other Cortec products as well.
We also carry the Cortec Stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Cortec, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Cortec wood. Look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floormeisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online, floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
Twitter. Follow Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio on Twitter. Yeah.
Gronk's 31 today?
Yep.
Happy birthday, Gronk.
The Pool Doctor.
Hi, Dr. Mark here. Heat pumps take heat out of the air and put it in your pool. They cost less to run than gas heaters, and you won't have panels on your roof. Special pricing, rebates, and free on-site evaluations. We're a family company, and for over 40
Nick,
years,
I think
we've
you're
been doing
absolutely
business
right.
The
And
prescription is the Pool Doctor
it's
for
an
award-winning
excellent
full service, repairs,
question
and
slash
unheard of
statement.
$39 diagnostic
Because
calls.
down
That's
here,
mypooldoctor.com.
I think anywhere in
469
Florida, in Tampa, you wouldn't have any problem getting people working in a hotel. Miami, different story. Sure, Seth would tell you in New York, New Jersey, really, we're going to come work a hotel so a team can stay here and play a game. These are all excellent points. Even without fans. I mean, even without fans, you still need a shit ton of people to pull this off. Now, Vegas, if they use Vegas and Orlando, Nick, for basketball, just use that sport. You're in service-driven towns and people are broke. People would choose to work and sacrifice health for money right now. I believe they will. Don't know if that's the right choice, but there are other areas of the country where they certainly wouldn't. It's why I think Orlando and Vegas are such viable candidates for doing things, because on a double side of this, their economies are so service-based that you've got to think workers would be eager to make some money. I could be nuts, but I think that.
Want to see more? Go to myshowerdoor.com.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Rapidly approaching 7 minutes before 7 o'clock. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Miss any part of the show, every hour gets its own podcast, or as we call it, the Connecticut Cast, best damn water that we have ever had. That's why the two of us have been Connecticut customers for over 30 years. Before we got together as a show, we both had become customers of Connecticut. 908-2300, 908-2300 for Connecticut. Go to ConnecticutSWFL.com. They're offering, nice, Mark, nice. Always, if you can include the sound effects in the Connecticut.
Rattled that ice, that clear ice.
Yes, well played. 479-5551 is how you can chime in via the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line. Do we have a poll question?
We do. And, we've had a few of these type of poll questions, but now it seems that this is where we're at. What is more likely to happen, or most likely to happen? The NBA cancels the season, the NHL cancels the season, or MLB cancels the season?
Ooh. I'm going NHL. I've always said NHL. I think it's the one that is going to have the most difficulty getting started. I think there's a variety of issues here. Also, more teams. I think the NHL, if they start up, they have to start up with more of the teams than the NBA will. I don't believe the whole NBA is going to try to finish the regular season. I just don't buy it. Doesn't make any sense. If you're trying to limit risk, I don't know why, because you're not making any money. I mean, the money that you're going to make, I just think you're better off if you're the NBA starting with the playoffs.
All of them. I mean, if they all would start. I mean, NHL and NBA would start with. I'm convinced if they start with the playoffs.
But they're talking the NHL may have a 24-team structure, whereas it's difficult for us to see that the NBA goes beyond 16.
Right. But with the 24, you have a quick couple 2 out of 3s. You can move that sucker along. I think 24 is too many. I think you take 8 and 8, and if you were 9th, tough. I don't know what to tell you.
I agree.
I don't want a 12th place team winning the Stanley Cup, David.
And it can happen.
Right. When I talked yesterday about how this, to me, is going to just feel weird, and your point was very valid in that, hey, Do we look back on the strike seasons and the lockout seasons and tarnish those championships? No, maybe we should, but we haven't. I just think this long layoff and then putting a 12th place team in could lead to things we don't really want to see. We'd like these playoffs to work out where, as you said yesterday, the Clippers and Lakers are playing for the West and they're playing Milwaukee. No one would worry about a damn thing. In hockey, 8 seeds win. They just do. Ask Tampa. By the way, that's the other thing. They cancel this sucker. It's another year in that window for the Lightning.
Yep.
We haven't even really brought that up.
Nope. Never mind for certain athletes. Like, I thought heading into this year that LeBron was going to have a monster year because LeBron had a down year the year before. He got hurt, and he hadn't had one. But also, LeBron hadn't had time to heal up, to rest up. He'd been playing long seasons for 10, 12 years. And I really thought LeBron was going to have a monster year.
And he was.
Year, and he was having one. But I also thought that LeBron, I think, is 35 this year, that this could be the last monster year that he has left. And he'll still be a great player, and then he'll be a very good player as the gradual decline happens. But I thought that this was going to be his last MVP-type season that he was going to have. And if this is it, and the season doesn't come back, or because it was disrupted that the Lakers and LeBron don't finish the way we thought they would have, it's that missed moment in time. Plus, Mark, in the Lakers case very quickly, AD's a free agent. I mean, this literally could be the moment for LeBron in Los Angeles. I mean, it literally could be this moment in time. And AD could leave, and LeBron then starts to head to the downside, and it all goes poof. And we won't know.
No, we will not.
There were a lot of careers. You and I are hockey guys. There were a lot of careers that ended because of that lockout. A lot of them.
And there will be a lot of careers that will end with the coronavirus. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Fox Sports Radio.
No matter
I knew I forgot to sync this damn thing this morning.
You're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat U.S. companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new membership pricing starts as low as $99. Call 239-945-1664 for more information. Or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat U.S., you're never stuck on the water.
A fate which will live in infamy. People who knock these buildings down will hear all of it.
Amazing comebacks. Comebacks.
Brady has his fifth.
That inspired the American story. And before you know it, another great American comeback story.
In stopping the virus.
Will be in the books.
We will have a great victory.
Our story continues.
And return to our lives. Great lives.
On Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
It's Fred Kobe with your Kobe Cooling Tip of the Day. What happens to your old air conditioner when it's replaced? Well, most companies drop them off at a scrapyard for a few bucks, and that's about it. Scrapyards crush them up and ship them off, but do they recycle the oil and Freon? Who knows? That's not how we do it at Kobe Cooling. Kobe Cooling has a full-time staff that performs all of our recycling. We remove and recycle the Freon, remove the oils, have them treated at hazardous waste facilities. We completely disassemble the machine and recycle and sort all materials so we have a minimal impact on our environment. We could just throw them out like most companies do, but Kobe Cooling supports a smart, green, recycling environment. If you care about Southwest Florida and its natural environment, always use a company that recycles as much as possible. We do it because we can, not because we have to. Kobe Cooling, license CACO 57313.
The sports station with balls. And strikes. We also have strikes. WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. We are Fox Sports. Here's what's trending now. Brought to you by the Center for Men's Health. C4MH.com. There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
How the heck are you?
Yep, that's it. Miller.
This could end the bro hug. That would be great for you because there is nobody worse at the bro hug than one David Moulton.
And Moulton.
I used to be. 2019, I found my bro hug group.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like it. It's up to you now. It's up to you. I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Couple minutes past 7 o'clock on this Thursday morning, the 14th of May. It was 9 weeks ago today that the sports world, by the minute, began to shut down. 9 weeks ago was Thursday, March 12th. How long ago does that seem? Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com and broadcasting live on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. And the reason that every week that goes by, I keep going, this is week 6, this is week 7, is not to make and cause angst, but it is also because a lot of what we talk about is so many weeks and months out in the future, especially when we're talking about football. I mean, if we were to fast forward the same 9 weeks that we have all just lived through, we only get to mid-July. We only get to the point where most college football coaches and programs say, this is when the students have to be back on campus. This is when I need to start putting them through drills and conditioning. And then by August, we start, working on football again. That's still 9 weeks in the future. Now, and that's to be ideal. That's so that the Sabans and the Muschamps of the world, what they have said, well, I need them in by July 13th. Well, that's in an ideal scenario here. I mean, this is not obviously an ideal scenario. So you get them when we say you get them. But still, that's as many weeks in the future as we have all just gone through. And Mark, I don't know if you caught this story late yesterday. Because at this time yesterday, one of the big stories that we were talking about was the announcement from the California State University system that their 23 campus system, which is the largest in the country, they were going to conduct almost all of their fall semester classes online. And that certainly seemed as if, well, that's going to put a crimp in the college football season, although most of those schools are of the smaller variety. That's not UCLA. That's not Cal. And Stanford and USC are private schools. But it is some of the Mountain West schools.
Right. San Jose State, Fresno State.
San Diego State.
Right.
Right. They're all part of that system. And so we're like, well, okay, this will be the beginning domino. Not only, Mark, may it not be the beginning domino, it may not be a domino for Fresno State, San Jose, and San Diego State. Because, well, this is how the announcement was apparently interpreted. Exceptions will be allowed where rigorous health and safety requirements are in place. So, in other words, nursing students who require training with clinical mannequins, lab classes to complete science degrees, capstone projects for architecture, agriculture, which is big, obviously, throughout that state, and engineering, likely to get special consideration. Well, once they basically were going to allow you to go outside for agriculture, the wheels started turning. And it's like, well, if we can allow for, this is how it was worded, compelling educational and research needs. All right. Well, then they started going, well, maybe maybe 25% of the classes then will have to be on campus if you figure it out. If we're going to allow exceptions, and, not to mix sports and politics, but as we've seen, to the angst of many, the difference between those that were declared essential businesses and those that were declared non-essential. And so now all of a sudden you give it about 24 hours and you let the athletic departments and a couple of lawyers get to work. All right. And next thing you know, the Mountain West Conference issues a statement that goes, in conjunction with the 3 university presidents, no decision on athletics has been made. And then all 3 universities announced separate decisions. All right. And so basically, Mark, you can see it. You can see it. Because that headline left no ambiguity, right?
No. None.
Right. Within a day, all of these exceptions were beginning to be carved out. And you can understand some of them. I mean, you really can. But as we see with everything, I mean, I like the joke. You let one wrong person in a Hall of Fame, and you end up putting 7 others in over time because of that one person. Well, if this person's in, then this person. Well, here we go. And by the way, the system that determines, like for Cal and UCLA, they're not going to meet till next week. So whatever bold statement's going to come about Cal and UCLA and whether or not they're going to start on time and all that, that doesn't come till next week.
Well, and the one thing I thought about also in terms of you and I have talked that the university model is in jeopardy. Well, I don't use the California system to base the university model. Because remember, all of these state schools in California, if you're a California resident, don't cost you anything to go to. College tuition's free in state schools in California for California residents. So their model is very different than the model around the rest of the country in terms of how an athletic department and a university function together. Theirs is vastly different. But it is amazing that in what's regarded as one of the more liberal states in our country, they've been far more strict on the stay-at-home orders than most every other state. They were earlier about it. So when you kind of look at California as they're going to be out front of this, well, after they were out front, certainly seems that a lot of politicians let the governor know what they thought of what she said a day ago.
479-5551. 479-5551 is our number. How you can chime in to Miller and Moulton via text or via phone call. 479-5551. But an official at San Diego State, in fact, went so far as to say that the California State University system announcement about virtual classes, that it yielded misleading headlines. I mean, translation, we can't say it enough. I believe outside of this virus rearing its ugly head again in the biggest, boldest way that it already has, that these schools are going to go to staggering lengths, and they will try to justify their opening and their existence any which way they can. The same way that local businesses are fighting for their survival, that is exactly how these major universities are viewing this. And let's face it, almost all of us, we live to our means, if you will.
Yes.
And businesses also, I mean, yeah, they put away a rainy day fund and what have you, but this is a little more than a rainy day fund. Even if a university system or an individual university really handles its money well, this is the type of year that could empty all of those fine years of work. Boom, gone.
And gut the communities that these universities are in. I mean, every one of the, Auburn, Alabama, Athens, Georgia, Estero, Florida, I mean, we're a little college town now. I mean, these little things, this is affecting universities and every single thing around it.
And let's face it, you can frame this however you want. You can justifiably frame it as, listen, this is a public health matter. You know, none of these exceptions should be made. We should be doing this, 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 and this. And if you frame it that way, and certainly you could see a university president framing it that way, and it would be tough to take them to task, quite frankly, if they frame it that way. You could also frame it as there's risk in life. The risk with the young people is the smallest that we have. All right. And in a way, this is their contribution. This is their way to give back. This is all of our ways to give back at this university, is to actually go forward. And as Mark, you just referenced, the trickle down from us going forward is staggering. It's staggering that this tree is a really big ass tree in all of these communities around the country. You know, and we have joked over the years. I've been in on FGCU since day one.
Yes.
Now, I went in from a sports standpoint. I did. But you at times have literally on the air even said to me, what was it that you went all in about? And I said, I just had a feeling from day one this was going to be one of the pillars of our society going forward. We were always going to be tourism. You know, that was always going to be, if not number one, it was always going to be one of our pillars. Doesn't matter what we do to this area. It doesn't matter how many businesses we bring in.
Hertz and Chico's and
I mean, come on,
Arthrex and all the great things that are here business-wise that have come in the time that I've moved here.
But it doesn't matter.
Right.
One of our pillars is always going to be fun in the sun. It just is. Boom, here you go. All right, but I thought, don't know how many pillars we were going to have, whether it was going to be 2, 3, or 4. But I always just felt from the beginning, I'm like, you know, this is going to end up being a pillar here. This just is. Whether it is from a sports standpoint or not, it's just, hey, if this is our only, and I also, for whatever reason, thought they were going to be D1. From the get-go, I just thought, they're going to end up D1. This whole, you know, they were NAIA for an hour and a half, and then, you know, D2.
Yeah, you and I were on the same way with that. I was on that before you got here, because when Marilyn Dean Baker, their initial interim AD, basically announced the sports programs at then Everblades Arena. I mean, this is before Tico, Germain, and Hertz. I mean, this is we don't have a name on this sucker yet. Right. And she looked around that building, and, you know, because the colors were the same as FGCU's and the Everblades are similar. And she's like, boy, I see a lot of basketball fans in this place. And she said that in her very first presser, basically. And I'm like, oh, whoa. Oh, I mean, they got a lady from Michigan State here. This was the first female AD in the Big Ten Conference. This is not someone you bring in to run an NAIA program.
Right.
Exactly. She was not there to start an NAIA program. I always thought that the minute I saw her on campus.
Now, I will say the next AD, Carl McAloose, he always thought they were going to be an elite, if not the Division II power in the country. That's what his vision was. But if the facilities that he and Butch Perchin and others then fundraised for, they were building, people were tapping them on the shoulder going, this is D2, huh? Because this looks an awful lot like small D1 to us, you know, and it's part of why. And here's the irony. They built facilities and they did so well early in their D2 existence that the D2 conferences in the South wanted nothing to do with them. They said, if we bring them in, they will crush us.
Yep. The A-Sun should have thought the same thing when they brought Liberty in.
Right.
But they didn't do that.
Right. And it's why, I mean, the reason FGCU is Division I is because the 3 Division II conferences in the South wanted nothing to do with them. They went so far as to say, we're not even going to schedule you. And that is why they went Division I. They had coaches go to Carl McAloose, the AD, and the president at the time, Bill Merwin, and go, I really don't know how we're going to put a schedule together. We can only play the Puerto Rico schools so many times. And literally now, it's bad enough they won't let us in the conference. They now are going so far as to say we're not even going to schedule you. I don't know how we're going to get games.
And that's inevitably what forced FGCU. They forced Carl McAloose to go D1 because he did not want to.
Well, no, he didn't, and especially that fast. I mean, to go from, dirt to D1 in basically 6 years. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty quick.
And financially, I was asked the question yesterday on the golf course, going, how are they going to do financially? I said, I don't know. I mean, they haven't dropped any sports yet. We had their AD on. He says is adamant that he doesn't want to do that. Right. And I believe Ken. I mean, one thing I know about Ken is that he's honest. He's never lied to me that I know of. And I don't think he ever would. He wants to keep all the programs. But if they lose 20% of their enrollment, because they lean on the students as hard as anybody to keep the athletic department afloat, because they're old alumni. I mean, the really old alumni might be hitting 40.
Right. Yeah, old timer.
Yeah. I mean, I know Bruce Hershey, who I hired from the Everblades. I think Bruce is 40 now, but he also graduated college at like 28. Because I think he served in the military or worked or did something. And I know he's doing pretty well in the marketing world. But your big alumni are,
right.
Woo!
Right.
It's not like you can lean on Dr. So-and-so who just retired making $40 million. I've always joked that the only way FGCU ever gets football is if some really rich kid in Naples becomes in charge of the family money and says, you know what I want? I want a football program. What's it going to cost me?
Oh, about $150 million.
I got 50.
479-5551, 479-5551. And I don't know if you thought this at all, but the announcement earlier in the week by one of the two Division II schools in the state, Florida Tech, to drop football. And for those that have always wanted FGCU to play football, I think it has justified the fact that up until now they have not. I mean, because Florida Tech started in 2012 or 2013, and they made about a $4 million investment, and they played at a local high school. And now because of and they were successful. They made the NCAA tournament twice in their 7 years of existence. And yet they, for financial reasons, have dropped the sport. And that's D2 with no home stadium and a minimal investment.
Yep. It's, and David and I have been the biggest no to FGCU football in Southwest Florida. There's not been two people who have been more adamantly telling everyone that they should never, ever do this. And all we tell you is skip Florida Tech. Look at FAU and FIU. They're horrible. They're never going to be good. And they're never going to draw fans. And you're not going to watch FGCU on Saturday instead of sitting home watching Michigan or Ohio State or Florida or Georgia or whoever it is you're really into.
Well, and I mean, I would take exception to you saying that they're horrible and they're only because if you look actually in the last couple of years, this is like, FIU beat Miami last year. I think Butch has had an 8-win season. Lane had, I think, 2 double-digit win seasons. But neither program, by the way, paid their bills. And these are really good times for FAU and FIU. Right. And that's what you and I are getting.
And they don't draw.
Right.
And I mean horrible in the sense of a business. I don't care what the record is because they could go 13-0 and the business is still horrible.
Now, do the two of us, if we're going to complete this tangent, do the two of us think that if FGCU, somebody wins the Powerball and starts up a football program at FGCU, do I think that FGCU could be an FCS?
Oh.
Power? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But absolutely. Never D1.
No,
never D1.
Not big boy D1, but the level below, the North Dakota State level. Do I believe FGCU would be a perennial top 10 program if it was financed? And yes.
Might bring Bill Kramer out of retirement right now to have him start the program up.
I mean, all of the kids that don't go to the big 3 in this state and or the big 5, if you want to include the I-5 corridor, the I-4 corridor. Oh, my goodness. The kids, and never mind the kids that, for whatever reason, aren't getting the playing time that they like, and they committed to those schools, and they'd be able to transfer immediately a level down. And oh my goodness, the football here would be tremendous.
It would, and we'd be into it because we could win.
Yeah,
that's see, we'd never be able to win. We'd never have the chance at the Sweet 16 run that the basketball team did in football. It's impossible. The odds are set up where you can't do that. But It's a totally different story if James Madison or Georgia Southern's coming down here on a Saturday night and the game's has meaning. You know, the Everblades draw and they draw nicely. All of a sudden when it's the finals, it's a hard ticket to get because the game has consequences. You put consequences with FGCU football, now it's a different story. And
now, would it bankrupt the athletic department?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It might take down the university. It costs so much damage.
And Title IX, you're going to have to add 3-4 women's sports to do this. Or drop 3 or 4 men's sports.
Right. I mean, they are at 15 sports now. They'd have to go to 20 immediately. If one of them was football, that's even if you do it the way we're proposing, that's 65 scholarships. You'd have to add 4 women's sports minimum. Now you're up to 20 sports. You know, they're not close to paying their bills now. You want to add that? All right. So
that's where we are and always have been when it comes to FGCU football.
Now, I win the Powerball. Things are different.
We know, and you'd probably bring the Firecats back. Before we go to break, I very much want to read this text because we took a topic there. We kind of went nuts, and I almost think it was a little negative to people because I know how many of you want FGCU to have football, and David and I may have crushed your hopes and dreams unless David hits the Powerball. But I feel badly that I forgot to open up the text line on my computer this morning. We received a text this morning at 5:40 in the morning from Brad Weaver, and I really want to read Brad's text. It says, "Good morning, Mark and David. This morning I am celebrating my 65th birthday with you all. I must admit it's a very unusual birthday because my St. Louis Cardinals are not playing. It is an unusual time for all of us because of the uncertainty of our times. When I looked at the schedules from years past, I realized this may be the only May 14th since I was born that the Cardinals have not been playing baseball. I've been celebrating my birthday with you all for many, many years now, even before there was an Act 1. You two have been able to talk me through some very difficult times in life, brought humor and laughter to some of the best times in my life, and I look forward to sharing even more good times in the future as we work our way past this crazy virus. I just want to say thank you. I honestly can't think of a better way for my birthday to begin with the two of you. Most sincerely, Brad Weaver in Cape Coral." Thanks, Brad. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Brad. Think about that. Going all the way back to the black and white era, he's always had baseball on his birthday. Wonder how many times he also went, you know,
or listened or watched, or absolutely.
Miller and Moulton. Thank you, Brad. That was very nice.
Very, very nice.
Happy birthday. And you share your birthday with quite a few people. And Mark will let you know that coming up in about 25 minutes with today was the day when. Mark, make sure that you work Brad Weaver into your birthday.
Going to.
1955. Miller and Moulton. 479-5551 if you want to chime in on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line. And if you're watching right now on the Miller and Moulton channel on YouTube and Twitch TV, young Maddie has made her first appearance of the week.
You want to take us to break and say you're listening to Fox Sports Radio? Man, what a choke job. I mean, I can get her to read Charlie the Ranch Dog. I mean, she knocked it out of the park yesterday, but I can't get her to say Fox Sports Radio, so I guess we'll have to do it for her.
How about How the Heck Are You? Give me a How the Heck Are You?
No?
No.
No Fox Sports Radio?
No.
All right, fair enough. Miller and Moulton, the fill-in host, is really ambushing the show right now.
Gonna have to get a new one.
Yep, you're out.
That's it. Sorry, kid.
Thanks for listening.
Gave you your shot.
Yep, you're done. Wally Pip out. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Fox Sports Radio.
Lou Garrigan.
This is the Herd.
You're going to
Colin
call by yourself?
So I do not believe in coincidences. In the last 24 hours, reports New England
of what?
Very interested in
the
Tua
cabinet
and a premium pick and getting a quarterback. And then the next morning, Bob Quinn.
You're going to clean all those drawers up and get them straightened? Holy Toledo, that's awesome. When are you going to do that?
Colin Cowherd.
Okay, you ready to go get into the schoolwork right now?
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and Fox
Get dressed, you have to brush your teeth.
FOXSportsFM.com.
Perfect. You can't do a Fox Sports Radio and send us to break.
Kia in Fort Myers is open, and we're here to help.
Unbelievable. I don't know what you just kicked, but you knocked my camera off, child.
Zero down, $149 per month. That's right. A new Kia for $149 per month with zero down. Plus, at Galliana Kia in Fort Myers, you can drive payment-free for 4 months, interest-free for up to 75 months, and worry-free for 100,000 miles. Plus, prepaid gas for up to a year. Our parts service and body shop are open to serve you. New Kias, zero down, $149 per month at Galliana Kia, 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com.
You should be driving a Kia from Galliana. Galliana Kia.
36-month lease, 10,000 miles per year.
Someone text in, class of 99, I'm 43 at this time.
Yep, there you go.
And I did say back to him, was that the first graduating class?
Hello, it's Tommy from Wink News. They have been there from the beginning.
We're going to be here as long as we need to be here.
And they haven't backed down yet. With smiles behind their masks and passion in their eyes, they are our first line of defense so that we can live our best normal.
Reporting live for Wink News.
Wink News will stay out front to say thank you to our frontline champions. You are what makes us Gulf Shore strong.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R. Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. We're still finding a lot of roofs with hurricane and windstorm damage. Call us today for a free inspection.
Mary Kate Olsen's getting divorced. That is one rich broad on the market.
Boy, what a shocker.
License number CCC 1326954.
For professional roofing, the name you need
So
to know.
the wife has started something new here, and it's really pissed me off.
I'm a busy person.
Catch the show anytime.
She's using bacon in her breakfast now. And that smell oozes right underneath the door into the studio at about 7:10. And I'm starving right now.
They cost less to run than gas heaters, and you won't have panels on your roof. Special pricing, rebates, and free on-site evaluation.
Well, you do it to me at the end of every show.
For 40 years, we've been doing business right.
This
The
is getting you
prescription is
back.
the Pool Doctor for award-winning pool service, repairs, and unheard of $39 diagnostic calls. That's mypooldoctor.com or 239-574-1133. State certified CPC 057088.
It's Fred Kobe with your Kobe Cooling Tip of the Day. There's a trend in the air conditioning business to buy up small companies and become a giant conglomerate like George Soros. Those ambitious corporate giants, to them I say, good luck. If you want to be just another number in the corporate bottom line,
Well, you don't hear George Soros mentioned all that often.
No, you don't. That's
impressive.
Focus on you, our family of customers.
I think it's a good play in Southwest Florida, though.
Your comfort is our priority, and you're the most important part of our company. At Kobe Cooling, we value our personal, small-town relationship with you. It's been that way since my dad started his company in 1949, and at Kobe Cooling, it's never going to change. We're not for sale today, and we never will be. When you think of air conditioning companies, we hope you'll think of Kobe Cooling. No nonsense.
Oh,
and
wow.
no pressure.
Darren Heitner just tweeted out, Oliver Luck was very wise to attach a strongly worded personal guarantee to his $35 million contract with the XFL, which could put Vince McMahon on the hook for the remainder of Luck's salary and bonuses. A lawsuit worth watching unfold. I mean, Heitner's a lawyer, so I mean,
Well, it is interesting that, McMahon fired him a day before he folded the league. He went public yesterday and listed 3 reasons as to why he fired him with cause, he believes.
Since 1972.
Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Miller and Moulton on this Thursday, the 14th of May. Thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. By the way, the Sopranos won our binge TV watching bracket as the most binge-worthy TV show of all time. The Sopranos won our bracket.
Thank goodness our audience got it right.
And we'd like to thank the good folks at Brooks Burgers, Jimmy P's Chard, France Eye Care, and Kobe Cooling for allowing us to have some fun over these many weeks since March Madness was canceled with our binge TV watching bracket. But the Sopranos ended up being the winner.
I could start over again, watch it right from start to finish. Despite all the shows that I'm in the middle of, that I actually enjoy. It's just good old-fashioned violence with some sex thrown in.
Well, and I always thought that the humor in it was underrated.
Oh, it had all of it. It had absolutely all of it. We were talking about FGCU in the last segment about their old alumni. Got a text.
And by old, we meant 40.
Right. Got a text. Class of 99. I'm 43.
There you go, big fella.
And I replied to him. I said, is that the first graduating class? And he said, yes, sir. Which I don't know why you're calling me sir. I'm only 7 years older than you, old man.
Hey there. Take it easy, Sparky.
I mean, you call me boomer, we got a real problem.
479-5551 is how you can text in or call into the show. 479-5551 on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line.
And I'm not a baby boomer. Are you a considered?
No, I think it ends at 64, and I was born in 65.
Okay, I didn't know. Because that is now, apparently that's the insult that the millennial hurls at the okay, boomer, when they're getting the lessons from the old guy. Is there anybody that's a baby boomer that would be offended if someone said, okay, boomer to him? I mean, of all the derogatory things you could say to another human, calling him boomer, I mean, unless they're a Nebraska or Texas fan, I can't understand why you'd offend somebody.
I was going to say, I believe it's led to some fatal bar fights in southern Oklahoma. And
I understand that. That I get, David.
But no, I would hope not. I would hope that, since we are enduring what we are enduring, that it will take a lot more to insult us after this. I know we're all a little edgier, and in theory, you could argue it would take less, but I would hope that when we're done enduring this, that it's going to take a little bit more to insult us than somebody going, hey, boomer. Yeah, you're right. I am. Might get into a generational thing. What have you done? Well, what have you done?
So that just of all the things to say to upset somebody, I just can't see being called boomer as something. Now, it may bother me because I'm not a baby boomer. I mean, that's telling me that I'm old, and I'm not that old. You might tick off the Gen Xer with that one.
So is that what we are? If you're not a boomer, you go from what? Xer?
Boomer to Gen X to millennial to, I think they're like Gen Y and Gen Z even now. I think Jake's technically a Gen Y and Maddie's a Gen Z.
Huh. All righty then.
I do like that Hop said boomer has become the insult at work anytime someone needs IT help. It doesn't matter how old they actually are. That's funny.
That's solid.
I mean, that's where we could apply boomer to David, because if it is IT help, he will need it.
Listen, I am an old soul, so even though I'm not a boomer, I act very much like one.
Right. Baseball's your favorite sport.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
You don't just watch football.
I am beginning to miss it, I must say. I was okay in April for whatever reason. But now, and maybe it's because they're negotiating to start the season. It's kind of like, okay. I'm also fascinated by a half season, Mark. You and I are hockey guys. We loved the 48-game regular season that was 1995.
50-game NBA season. I've loved all the short seasons. I wish we do. We know why it's not going to happen. We get it. There's too much money involved. But when we get, when unexpectedly you order the sandwich and they come back to your table and say, I'm sorry, we're out. Would you like to try this? And you get it and you I don't really want to. And it comes and it's great. That to me is what an 80-game schedule could be.
And to me, the sandwich analogy was they delivered your sandwich and they go, I'm sorry, we gave you double meat by mistake. Are you okay with this? Because that, to me, every game, the significance of every hockey game in the 48-game regular season, it felt, the 2-point swing, particularly if you were playing a division team, you're like, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. 2-2 late third, whoever scores here before overtime. This is big 2-point swing here in the standings. In the NBA, like we said earlier, in the Eastern Conference in 1999, I think the difference between the 1 seed and the 8 seed was literally within a handful of games. I mean, the 50-game NBA regular season that year was compelling. Made for a crapshoot of a playoff.
And as we mentioned yesterday, look at last year's midseason baseball standings.
Nationals
the Reds
don't make the playoffs.
Pirates were in it within like 4 games in the NL Central.
I believe somebody released it yesterday at the 82-game mark last year. Remember, the Nationals were 19-31. And even with the expanded playoffs, because they're talking about an 82-game season, which I think is going to end up being more. I think the players are going to want more games. But let's just say it's 82 games. And they're going to expand the playoffs from 10 teams to 14. Mark, even with a 14-team playoff, the Washington Nationals do not make the playoffs last year with this format. They don't, because they were only, I think, 41-41. And they would not have made it. And I believe there was a 3-way tie for the last wild card spot. So the 3 teams that would have made it were the Cardinals, the Rockies, who proceeded in the second half of the year to have the 3rd worst record in baseball.
Right. They were one of my picks to make the playoffs a year ago because they'd had a good season. They looked like everybody was back and in a division that had something there for the taking. And at the All-Star break, I looked like I know what I was talking about. And they went for a tank job of tank jobs.
Yes, they did. St. Louis, Colorado, and Milwaukee, I believe, were the 3 teams that were tied that in this season that they're proposing now, they all would have made it based on what they did last year. I believe 4 out of the 5 in each league, though, would have made the playoffs in this new structure.
And the other side of this, on a negative side, though, is if you do have a start like the Nats had, it is imperative to get off to just average. You just can't get off to a horrific start.
Right.
With this, all of a sudden you're one of these teams that starts off 4-12. You're in a real jam.
Yeah. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Like the Oakland A's, who ended up hosting the wild card game last year with 97 wins, something like that. I don't believe they would have made the playoffs last year, even with the playoff structure that's being proposed now, because they were pretty mediocre in the first half of the year last year. But I'm starting to miss it. I am. Starting to wonder, because, Mark, I think there's a real chance. Could a franchise steal a World Series here? And I'm talking about somebody who there's no way if we do 162 they could win a World Series. There's no way. We don't think the Twins have enough pitching to get through the 3 rounds of playoffs that they would need to get through with a 162-game season to win the World Series. But could the Twins maybe make a World Series with this new structure?
Well, I'm just kind of looking at last year. And I know teams have made changes, but I'm looking at teams from a year ago. Like a team like the Diamondbacks last year, David, finished 8 games above 500.
And they're better, by the way, this year. They made improvements this year. No one talks about them because they're in the same division as the Dodgers. But they're going to be better.
Yeah, but if the Dodgers, for whatever reason, get off to a rough start.
Right.
So a lot of division games will make it interesting if a team can get out to an early roll. But yeah, the Diamondbacks, the Phillies, your Mets, all teams not necessarily good enough to win it over the long haul. But
how about this? None of us thought the Red Sox heading into this season 2 months ago were going to be able to make the playoffs. Sales injury, some of the losses, they traded Betts. There's no way the Red Sox over 162 games were going to make the playoffs. That was the consensus. They could be 500. Maybe they could win 85 or so games, but they were not going to be a contender. They could be this year now. I mean, what's to prevent them from putting a good half season together? They throw a little 46-36 stretch on the board and get in the playoffs. And then, from there, who knows? That's my hope. I think that would be exciting for baseball.
Yeah, and I think, me as a Tigers fan, there's a really good chance that they won't lose 100 games this year.
Well, Mark, you said you have become a glass half full guy during all this, so it's nice of you to view the Tigers in that state. Hey,
no way we lose 100 if there's only a 100-game schedule.
Even if the players play as many games as they want, I feel confident.
I feel very confident.
2 of them. I feel really good about that. But I'm wondering, is this maybe the perfect scenario for the long-suffering Indians fan with their pitching? All they need to do is and they're providing you more playoff spots to get in. Could this be perfect for a Rays, for an Indians? Teams that are trying to do it and spending a little bit less than some of the other guys.
You do bring it up with the Rays because they've never had a home field advantage, and now they go on the road and they feel like they're at home.
Yeah, their running joke will be, doing infield, looking at the other guys going, hey, we do this all the time. Welcome to our world.
Hey, are we at the Trop again?
Yep. Here we are.
You need, no offense to Kevin Cash. I need Madden back for another year in Tampa so he can just say, just for the quotes. Well, we just feel like I've told the team we're playing all home games this year.
The one thing is Joe likes to have the guys dress up once a year to go on the road. Wonder if he'll still do that this year. But, there's another team, the Angels. Over 162, I would not have bet on the Angels to make the playoffs. No way. 82 games? Very different story. I mean, it's tough now to circle teams that you'd think, they're out. Especially when we're going to put 7 teams in each league in the playoffs. I mean, how many teams now at the start of the year in which you'd look at now and go, they got no shot? I'd go Royals, Tigers, and Mariners, and Orioles. I got 5 in the AL. So think about it. I only got 11 teams now. 7 of them are going to make the playoffs.
NL, Marlins,
Pirates.
Who out west? Giants?
Yes.
So there you have it.
There you go. So you got 12.
And the
7.
And the horrible thing of all of this is that the Astros may steal the World Series in the year that they should have been booed off the field everywhere they played.
Blankety blanks.
It is really unfair for us fans because I wanted to be in Tampa booing the Houston Astros. I did.
2021. We're bringing trash cans to the Trop in 2021 when they play.
I think the games either were going on right now or the series just ended because Houston came to Tampa early in the year. And I'm like, David, I thought there was a Wednesday getaway. And I'm like, we're leaving the show. We are getting to I'll do the show from the Trop that day. I don't care. I want to have some fun with this.
It'll be the very first time that Miller and Moulton in our lives will have stopped at either a Home Depot or a Lowe's on our way to a ball game. But that's where we would have been, bringing in all sorts of hardware.
Yep.
Mallets and trash cans. Here we go. Where are you going? Ball game. Astros are in town. Just wish I'd saved the Vuvuzela from 10 years ago. Would like to have one of those.
No doubt there. David, we did get one more text when I did ask the Boomer if it is something that bothers them. And not to my surprise, it shouldn't have been. Text came, Mark, okay, Boomer is not the problem. As always, it's in the tone.
There you go.
Youthful, condescending is the problem.
Yep, there you go. It's like Rory McIlroy to Tiger. Okay, Boomer. Tiger just looks over at him like, really? Really? Yeah. Win a Masters. Talk to me.
Got to get that T-shirt. I got to work on it right now. The Miller and Moulton logo on the front and on the back. It's not what you say. It's how you say it.
How you say it. Miller and Moulton today was the day when coming up. Then Bud Elliott at the top of the hour. And then Pat Kerwin in about 40 minutes. I think he's playing golf tomorrow. So he needed to move up his weekly appearance. That's how low, that's how we roll on this show.
Works for me.
Right, yeah. I totally understand.
Works for me.
That's a radio show in Southwest Florida, isn't it? Gotta move my appointment. Why? I got a tea time.
Got a tea time. Makes total sense to me.
So, Bud Elliott to talk college football and Pat Kerwin to talk NFL coming up next hour. But next, today was the day when here on Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Drive home with the Doug Gottlieb Show.
Well, Bill Belichick put up with Gronk for years. Of course, he put up with Cam Newton. And Cam Newton's not nearly the distraction off the field. Please don't compare Cam Newton saying, well, he'll work because Rob Gronkowski worked with the Patriots. Different position, requires different amount of leadership and a different style. Don't compare a tight end ever to a quarterback.
Doug Gottlieb, afternoons at 3 on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Dial star 2020. France Eye Care.
When it comes to cataract surgery, the lens you choose matters. And Dr. Jonathan France and the caring team of surgeons at France Eye Care want to help you navigate your vision challenges with an intelligent I remember the dog commercial with the bacon.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. France
Bacon.
will not only be the first in Southwest Florida to bring you the breakthrough technology of the trifocal solution, he's also the #1 PanOptix surgeon in the state of Florida. PanOptix, specially designed to help patients see 20/20 at distances that are near, far, and even in between. Experience the freedom of living without glasses for distance driving, computers, and reading. With PanOptix, you'll experience a clear advantage that you didn't know was possible. See your last future night, in 2020. Find out if you Julie are and I a candidate are for PanOptix talking, today by dialing and star 2020. she's getting really worried about the travel.
What's that?
She's wife's getting really worried about my potential travel. And especially when, so we happened to watch Lester Holt last night. So we're watching the NBC nightly news. And I guess they have a health guy. You know, every network's got a health guy. So their health guy just got the coronavirus. Now here's a guy who's never gotten all the pandemics and all that stuff. He's never gotten. He's like, you know, anal about all of the safety measures. But he got on a flight
into the Wink newsroom.
2 weeks ago
for social distancing.
Every day
from the New York area to New Orleans. And he stepped on the flight and he said it
your
was
community and across the state.
It was packed.
Yep.
We're not just there for
and he had a bad feeling as he was walking, you know, to his seat. He's like, "Oh, this is not good." And he had a mask, and he said, "But I didn't have protective eyewear." He goes, and I think, you know, you can get it through your eyes. And he said,
like sweats are all day
3 days later after the
reason
flight,
you
I
ate
started
takeout all the time. Yeah, honey.
and Julie's looking at me like, "Are you really going to do this?" And I'm like,
you found out that we're the ones.
Yeah.
You've been
Well, I mean,
these crazy
I'm flying Jake down for Memorial Day weekend. He turns 21 on the 20th. You know, his grandfather, it's 3 years ago that his grandfather died. He's been alone for 9 weeks for the most part. And Jacob has depression issues. I mean, he goes to a therapist and he has anxiety issues. And I'm like, he was really bummed out. I said, "You want me to fly you down?" It's like, "Dad, I'd really like that." Done.
Well, but also in his case, he's 21.
No, I know, but I mean, it's like, I don't know.
I'm 54.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little different.
A little different. It is. But I don't know.
Right. I know.
You know what I mean? Like, Brando posted something yesterday. I just saw a reply. And I didn't. The guy. I actually liked the reply. Brando. You know, until we have testing, we are rooting. You know, lives. And if you think we can do this and not take. And the guy's like, "Wait a minute. Are the only lives that matter those with the virus?" And I think that's I think it's a fair point.
Well, who was it who tweeted out yesterday? When did, what was the phrase, the curve? When did lowering the curve, flattening the curve? He goes, when did flattening the curve become finding the cure?
Turns out some of the best
If you think about it, this started and we were going to flatten the curve. Now, you could argue we haven't done it, and you could argue we've opened up too soon and we should have waited longer to quote-unquote flatten the curve, like what they're doing in New York. They have flattened the curve, and now he's going to start opening.
Hi, this is Dr. Scheibel from
But
Community
it's true.
Eye Center.
The whole thing was flatten the curve, then we open up and we take our chances.
The coronavirus is so tiny.
Right, and I'm with the fact that I don't think we flattened the curve. And the way we're doing this is wrong. But since that's the decision that's been made, we are now going to have to work on the herd immunity factor of this because we've screwed the pooch 6 ways but sideways. We need testing out the wazoo. We need contact tracing, but we're open. I don't know what to tell you.
back to Miller and Moulton.
Maybe driving.
No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
10 minutes before 8 o'clock, Bud Elliott. Shortly after the top of the hour, a lot of college football things to discuss with Bud, including what's been going on. Recruiting, transferring, never mind the whole what he's hearing about when it is we are going to play and how he thinks we're going to pull this off. Bud Elliott in a little more than 10 minutes. Pat Kerwin in a little more than a half an hour to talk all things NFL. But right now it is time for
Miller and Moulton's Today Was the Day When, giving you the history of today's date so you're a beacon of useless knowledge around the office.
Useless, but a lot of fun to talk about.
This is Today Was the Day When, Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
We start today in 1787, David, where delegates gather in Philadelphia to draw up the U.S. Constitution.
It really is remarkable how this country started. And how brilliant. Yeah, they made some mistakes, obviously, and had some prejudices and biases, but it is remarkable if you go back and study it, how we were able to pull this thing off. Unreal.
And then how we were able to expand it, because today in 1804, Thomas Jefferson commissioned Lewis and Clark to head to the Pacific and start taking over as much land as we could. 1874, the first time there was an admission charge for a football game.
Really?
Harvard beats the University of McGill out of Montreal 3-0.
Any idea what they charged?
No. That's all I got.
Huh.
Can't help you there. 1906, the flagpole at White Sox ballpark breaks during the pennant raising.
That's a bad sign.
It really is.
That's like straight out of Bad News.
I couldn't leave that one out today. I read that and just giggled.
Did you ever do that as a kid? Like at your grade school?
Oh, yeah.
Have you? Were you ever in charge of the flag?
Oh, yeah. It was at my elementary school, it was a different class for whether it was a week, and you got to go out. And I used to know how to properly, the principal would come out. I used to know how to fold a flag properly.
Yeah. If you were the part of the safety patrol.
That's right. Yeah, that's where it was.
Rotated it amongst, those that were standing out there with our fake badges.
I did safety patrol for one reason only. Free Tiger game every year. 1913, Washington Senator Walter Johnson ends his record scoreless streak at 56 innings.
And it lasted all the way to Drysdale and then Hershiser.
Right. 1920, that same Walter Johnson would win his 300th game. I don't know, this must be post-prohibition, and I should have looked it up, but in 1932, if you're looking for something to find out more about today, please find this out and feel free to tweet or email me what you discovered. Today in 1932, it was the We Want Beer parade in New York. I love the idea of that parade. We go to 1967. Mickey Mantle hits career home run number 500 against the Orioles. Stu Miller on the mound to give up the homer. 1981, the Celtics beat the Rockets 4-2.
In an NBA Finals that was shown on tape delay. Going to say that again. 1981, Larry Bird and the Boston Celtics beat the Houston Rockets with Moses Malone in an NBA Finals that was shown on tape delay on your local CBS station at 11:30 at night.
Right. Following the local nightly news.
Right. So you saw Bird and Bill Fitch and company celebrate at about 10 to 2 in the morning.
Yep.
That's right. That was the NBA before Magic and Larry and then Michael, because that's Bird's second year in the league.
That's the last time.
Yes.
It's the last one.
Think about it. Magic's first year in the league, they win. Larry's second year in the league, they win. Boom, boom. And David Stern's not commissioner yet. It's still Larry O'Brien. Stern doesn't take over till 83. But, yeah, then all of a sudden CBS goes, a few people might be interested in this.
1998, Seinfeld, the finale, airs on NBC to 76.3 million viewers, $2 million for a 30-second spot. and what maybe it's top 5 worst finales ever.
I didn't like it. I'm with you. I was disappointed.
And it was 2 years ago today that the U.S. Supreme Court strikes down a federal law banning sports gambling in most states. Way to go, Supreme Court. We're proud of you. Still. If you were born today, you share your birthday with Gump Worsley.
Ooh, great name. For those that don't know, famous hockey goalie. If I could go back 5 seconds, Mark, there are a lot of people that believe because of the coronavirus and how states, I mean, we're all hurting, and that state budgets have been blown
gutted
up, that we could get gambling in damn near all 50 states very quickly because they're going to need something to generate revenue quickly.
No problem. Gump doesn't mind either. Born today in 1929. Bobby Darin was born today in 1936. The former Royals manager and shortstop, Dick Hauser, born today in 1937.
Oh, the late, great Seminole.
George Lucas is 76. David Byrne from the Talking Heads is, 68 years old. Holy cow. Both Dennis Martinez and Brad Weaver. Dennis Martinez, Orioles, Expos, Indians. Brad Weaver, Cape Coral. They are both 65 today. Dennis Martinez, baseball player. Brad Weaver, baseball fan.
Brad Weaver, perfect in our eyes. Dennis Martinez threw a perfect game.
Tony Saragusi was born today in 1967. Happy 53rd to him. Royal Halladay, born today in 77. Mark Zuckerberg is 36 years old today. And Gronk is 31. That's right. Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Rob Gronkowski, 31 years old today.
Kind of a 31st birthday party you think he'll throw.
The best coronavirus party ever. Ever.
Wonder if he'll head over to Jeet's place with TB12 and Giselle.
Ooh. Wonder if they'll invite Gronk for the day.
Right.
I know Gronk's got some new game show he's going to be on here. I've seen the commercials all morning. Game On or something that's coming on CBS.
All right. If he's good at it, who knows? Maybe he could be the next Jeopardy host. Wouldn't that be something?
A little too goofy for Jeopardy.
Probably.
You know, I mean, I could definitely see Press Your Luck, but not Jeopardy. You need a smart guy for Jeopardy. Aaron Rodgers could do Jeopardy. Gronk needs something a little lighter. Bud Elliott, next.
Hey guys, Frank here for Center for Men's Health, where the physicians and staff want you to know that C4MH.com is open and is going to remain open throughout this ordeal. C4MH.com.
By the way, fan there, you know how hard it is to fly from RDU to RSW now? Holy Nike. I got to send my kid through Midway. He's flying Southwest through Midway.
No more direct?
There's never been direct.
Oh, not to Port Charlotte?
To Port Charlotte, but the time's got to work perfectly for me to do that. And it's like Friday night, he'd get in at 11:30 at night, and I'm not driving I'm not missing the, I had him in at 4 on Friday. Now he doesn't get until 8.
Is it direct? Can he go direct to Fort Lauderdale?
Yes.
Can you pick him up there?
I could. Thought about it.
Because that's how I, last year, a couple times, that's how I did New Orleans.
Right. No, and I looked at it. It just, do I really want to drive to Lauderdale and get him?
I will say, it's about as convenient of a ride. It's so easy.
It really is. And if I'm flying, I'll use it. I mean, that's how we went. If you're going to, that's the other. Like when you go to San Francisco, I'd do the same thing because you can do direct on both JetBlue and Virgin from Lauderdale to San Francisco. And I actually think, believe it or not, you can get the JetBlue getting back as a 10:30 departure. It used to be 10:30 p.m. departure gets you in at like 6 in the morning in Lauderdale.
Here's the funny thing. I don't know if we're going to be broadcasting on site. They might be doing games from Los Angeles.
Well, I mean, you might want to look at Lauderdale directs to L.A. too, because you can't do it from here.
Nope.
And that drive versus a connection, I would do every time.
Want to see more?
Yes,
Go to
I would too.
myshowerdoor.com.
WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida.
It was really weird. It showed that we lost all our viewers on Twitch. I kind of panicked, and then I went to see if we were on, and we were on. Now it shows that everybody's back. So I don't know if we blacked out for a second or not.
Hey, guys.
What's happening, bud?
Not much. Just
What do you mean, not much? What do you mean, not much? A, you're living through a worldwide pandemic, and B, you've switched jobs twice since we've last talked to you. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. We're doing big things over here. 24/7 Sports.
I mean, you're the biggest mover and shaker we know, bud.
I'm just happy I got out when I did, right? Not a whole lot of hiring is going on across the country right now.
No. There's only one way
making the move in February was key.
Yep, that's it. Miller.
This could end the bro hug. That would be great for you because there is nobody worse at the bro hug than one David Moulton.
And Moulton.
I used to be. 2019, I found my bro hug crew.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Oh, I like
It's up to you now. It's up to you.
I like it.
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Couple of minutes past 8, third and final hour of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday, the 14th of May. Thanks for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming foxsportsfm.com, and broadcasting live once again on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. It's great to talk with Bud Elliott again. You can follow Bud on Twitter at BudElliott3. And Bud, since we last spoke, you've got a new gig. Tell everybody about your new job.
Yeah, David, guys, I appreciate you having me on. I'm now over at 24/7 Sports, so doing the origination editor and the head of podcasts over there. And basically that means I have to originate the ideas that we're going to write about and cover as a network. And right now that's got to be really creative during these times. That's been an interesting couple first months on the job with this pandemic thing.
Well, Bud, I want to start out with the thing you retweeted yesterday because I saw this morning as, preparing for you coming on the show. We've talked about the pandemic from a sports angle at a multitude of different ways. We've talked about the fact that it's bummed me out more than anything of all these seniors that were unable to graduate high school in a normal way because I look upon those couple of months as some of the best times I had in my life and feel badly for these kids. But what 24/7 has brought up and what's going on, you've got kids in California right now that may not play a senior football season, and there's a big-time recruit who could even perhaps forego his senior year and go right into college. Now, this is something I'd never even imagined in my wildest dreams, Bud.
Right. There's a couple things happening here. Like if you're a recruit and you know you're not going to really be able to play your senior year, you can reclassify if you have enough college credits and if you have a test score. We see this in basketball sometimes. We don't see a whole lot of reclassifying in college football, but we do see it occasionally. J.T. Daniels, the quarterback, the 5-star for USC, who ended up getting hurt in the first game of the year last year, he actually reclassified. He was not originally in that Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields class, and then he ended up having enough credits, and he's like, well, I could probably be the starter at USC at 17 years old, so might as well reclassify and go do that. But so you have that kind of factor. Some of these kids who have a lot of, of course, credits and whatnot, combined with the NCAA is saying, hey, because there's no SAT, ACT testing dates this year, as long as you have your 2.3 and your 10 core classes, and at least 7 of those core classes completed before the end of your junior year, it's called the 10-7 rule, we're going to let you in. So, A, we're having a lot more kids qualified than we normally would because, you don't have to have the qualifying SAT, ACT score this year. And B, some of these kids who have so many course credits, they're looking around and they're saying, well, I mean, I've got the course credits. I've got my core courses. If I think I might not have a senior football season in high school, I'm just going to go ahead and enroll. And so that's what's happening there potentially. But I think that the key piece is the SAT, ACT not being required right now for this given year.
But are we seeing this with kids in many places outside of California, or is this largely a California phenomenon?
It's mostly a California phenomenon, and it's not going to become a wave because most kids do not have their 10 core courses completed, already, right? Like this is kind of a limited thing where a few select kids who maybe are already taking college credit courses or something,
right?
By the time they're juniors, most of your kids out there are nowhere close to being able to do this.
He's Bud Elliott, now with 24/7 Sports. He still co-hosts Nolecast, and you can follow Bud on Twitter at Bud Elliott with 2 L's, 2 T's, and the number 3.
Bud, obviously the other thing that you've been big on is what you're calling a large decommitment season. There have been far more commitments going on, and you think players could drop from them. Why do you think this could be such an alarming rate this year?
Well, just because of the rate at which players are committing. So I pulled some stats from our database, right? This time last year, and basically on May 11th, May 12th, for basically any previous given year, we usually have about 300 committed players, maybe 310, okay? This year, we have 710. So you have all these kids out there scrambling to find spots because I think they saw other players committing. You're like, man, I got to find a spot. Like, are these spots drying up? And they're committing on very limited information. We know for a fact a lot of these kids have never visited the campus to which they're committed. And I'm surprised that some of these schools are willing to take some of these commitments sort of sight unseen. And I think, and I have a good hunch on this, that when the schools finally are able to get out and visit kids on their high school campuses in the fall, right, or when the kids are finally able to come visit college campuses, there's going to be some where the college coaches are like, yeah, oh man, we took the commitment from this kid, but he's not the 6'4.5" it says on his profile, and now that we meet him in person, he's 6'1.5", right? We're going to need to make a little adjustment to his commitment status. And similarly, like some of these schools are going to see a kid and they're going to say, damn, how the hell is he committed to South Alabama, right? Like he's a kid who should be committed to like Alabama, not South Alabama. And so I think there's going to be a lot of sort of finding its level probably come the fall when visits are allowed again. And that's my hunch. We know for a fact too, like some of these kids are trying to commit. I talked to some coaches today. They're telling me they all got the same message from a kid wanting to commit about how much he loves their school and hey, I'm ready to commit, coach. And they compared notes, and the kid had sent the message to like 4 schools. And then we saw later that Sunday night that one of the schools did take him, and the other coaches were laughing at that. And I'm not going to name the kid because that's they're kids, but there's a lot of commitments being made right now that are based on really kind of shaky information and even shakier bond.
All right. Well, with your expertise then, let's talk 2 schools that we've noticed from afar. One, Tennessee is gobbling up a bunch of recruits that are in the 4- and 5-star category that we have not seen Tennessee gobble up like that since Philip Fulmer had it rolling. And also, Florida State has really hit the transfer portal and brought in a bunch of guys. Do you like the quality of the players that Tennessee is recruiting and that Florida State has brought in via transfer?
So Tennessee first. I do like the quality of the players they have. I really like their quarterback, Caden Salter. Tennessee's got a really, really nice recruiting staff. It's a bunch of young guys. They're very aggressive. I think they were smart to kind of jump on the Zoom trend with recruits early on, and I think that their staff had the foresight to see what was happening. And so they're doing a really good job. I also wrote a piece saying there's basically no way in hell Tennessee is going to keep the number 2 class in the country. They had 12 3-stars in their class. The number 2 class typically only has 3 3-stars, right? And the number 2 class, the record of those teams on the field, you usually need to go about 11-1. Tennessee is probably not going to go 11-1 this year, if I had to guess, because they got to play Georgia, Florida, Bama, and Oklahoma. But they still have a pretty good chance to have a top 10 class. as far as Florida State's transfer stuff, I think Florida State has done a nice job of plugging holes. I don't project those transfers to be superstars for them, but for the most part, my research shows, other than quarterbacks, transfers don't typically end up as superstars. But if you're smart and active in the portal, you can oftentimes plug some holes or help to mitigate some of your weaknesses. And I think that's probably what they've done here.
Anybody else that you're seeing, I liked how you pointed out Tennessee doing the Zoom and being aggressive there. What else has happened either on a positive of a school that is like Tennessee that's done that, or somebody that was late to it and maybe it's affected them already?
Sure. So some positives. North Carolina has really benefited from a great year of in-state talent. This is probably the best North Carolina year in terms of kids in that state that I can remember. And we do think that teams in the COVID era are kind of benefiting from like having a really nice talent base closer to home, perhaps even more so than they already do, because there's a little bit like stay close to home. Do you really want to go thousands of miles away during this era? But then also we're seeing Minnesota, and they're off to a really hot start. And yet a lot of their kids in their class have not visited them, but they've done a good job of doing virtual tours over Zoom, and PJ Fleck can really recruit. Now we'll see if they keep these kids come the fall, but they're off to a pretty good start. It's hard for me to really say negatives right now because you have to kind of know which teams are willing to accept commits from players who haven't visited them and which teams aren't. And I will tell you, like, if you look at the rankings and you see like, oh, this past national champion is down there at 45 or 50, there's a pretty good chance that a lot of kids they just said, no, we have the cachet to not screw around with these sort of, half-ass commitments. We're going to wait and make sure this is a real commitment so our board doesn't look all messed up when the visit season actually opens up again.
Talking with Bud Elliott of 24/7 Sports, also co-host of Nolecast. You can follow him on Twitter at Bud Elliott, the number 3. We don't do a lot of this, but you talk to a lot more people than we do. Gut feeling of the people you talk to in terms of when the college football season starts. Do more of them think it will start on time or it will start late?
I think more of them think it will start late, but I think the majority think it will still start in the fall. So if we split the difference, I think the most common thing I would hear would be sort of that, like, start in October, play some of your September games in December, and still have the thing wrapped up by, early mid-February, if that makes sense. Some people think it starts in the spring. Some people think it starts on time, but there's a good number who think it's probably going to be delayed a little bit.
I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world, by the way, if every conference just kind of fended for themselves. I mean, obviously the coronavirus is different depending on where it is you live. What if we didn't have a national champion this year? Or what if we ended up, whenever it is that the college season ended, if some conferences played their games earlier than others, and if we went for 1 year, we went old school and we voted like we used to, AP, UPI, and what have you. If we just had a vote, I mean, for 1 year, Bud, do you think the sport could survive, going back to 1977?
I think it absolutely could survive. Now here's what I don't know if they can survive. Like, some of these schools are really like that basically they get by on student fees. Their athletic departments really need campuses to not be closed. And so, we're seeing some of these athletic directors come out and say, oh, no, look, just because courses are going to be online in the fall, it doesn't mean the library is closed, right? We're still going to need these student fees to roll in, because some of these athletic departments, I mean, they're really reliant on those built-in student fees. The one thing we get from athletic directors is they don't want to play a shortened season. That their budgets are based on getting all 12 regular season games in. But starting at different times is, I think, on the table, especially if there's not an incentive for some conferences to wait. But I do think that if it's feasible for them to wait and all start on the same time, and they can see a light at the end of that tunnel, that they will try to collectively work together. Right? I don't think the SEC has obviously kind of put out there, hey, we could start whatever we want type thing. I don't think that's what they want to do, though. I do think that they want to try and work together with everybody. Now, if everybody's all a mess, then I get it. But I don't think that they're itching to start on time and just tell everybody else, y'all do your own thing.
Well, and Bud, we've talked about this a lot, and I know it really doesn't matter in the big boy college football world, but the MACs, the Mountain West, the Group of Five conferences, they're the ones that are incredibly reliant on student fees. How bad could it be for some of those schools? We've always talked in a big picture, would the big conferences just take the ball and go do their own thing? Could they have to because of this? Because I'm wondering how I keep referring to MAC schools because I'm a Michigan native, but I know how much Central Michigan's attendance, of student attendance is down and how reliant they are upon fees from students for their athletic department. How do some of these schools survive this year if they don't have a football team and don't have kids on campus?
I don't know how they do it other than, if you're not generating, you have to cut. Right, and that doesn't mean cutting football, but it could mean, cutting other sports. I wonder if this doesn't sort of spur a little bit of conversation about taking another look at either Title IX or how we count football against Title IX, right? Because the number of scholarships required on the other side to balance out football is really significant, and it's just not a great business model to have to support that many number of sports that don't make any money. Now, granted, they'll say it's not a business. What are you talking about, business model? But I think we all kind of know the deal there. I don't know how they survive without student fees. So I think there will be a pretty good push to still somehow collect those student fees. And if you're a parent out there of a kid going to college, you see all the university presidents stumping and being like, "Oh, we're going to have classes in the fall." I think a lot of that is because they need to make sure they get your deposit.
Yep.
Right. The language might change a little bit come up when all those deposits are already in.
Yep. It's to make sure that they keep enrollment as up as they can and they fill up those dorm rooms, at least with deposits, as much as they can. But a final question, middle of next week is expected to have the one-time transfer vote for football and for basketball. This obviously would be a big deal where kids would not have to sit out a year. From the people that you talk to, are the coaches okay with this, or are they vehemently against it?
I think that they are against it, but not as against as they used to be. I'm expecting it to pass, but it will not go into effect for the 2020 season. They basically used the COVID situation to sort of kick the can down the road a little bit and give themselves some more time to figure out exactly how it will work. I do think the one positive thing, though, is that the coaches are not going to be in doubt about the whole waiver process anymore. It used to be like they would complain constantly, this guy got a waiver, but this guy didn't. And now it's just, okay, if it's your first-time transfer, you're good. If it's not, then you'll need a waiver. And there's not that many guys who coaches actually want who have transferred multiple times anyway. So it's basically a one-time shot. They don't like it, but I don't think they hate it quite as much as they used to.
Bud, congratulations on the new gig. You're big time, and yet you still take our calls. We really appreciate it. All the best to you and the family. Stay safe, and hopefully we can talk before the season kicks off.
Let's do it, guys. Y'all are the best.
Bud Elliott, he's the national recruiting analyst, and he is the brains behind 24/7 Sports. You can follow Bud on Twitter at Bud Elliott, the number 3, and he still co-hosts Nolecast. So he still gets his broadcasting fix. Bud Elliott, kind enough to join us, and he's joined us on a regular basis every week throughout the college football season for the last couple of years, and hopefully we can make that arrangement again. Bud Elliott joining us here on Miller and Moulton. What I wonder, by the way, about the last topic we brought up, if it may not officially go into effect if it passes, the Mulligan rule, if you will, the one-time transfer rule, kids can just say, I'm out of here and leave and not have to sit out a year. That may not go into effect until the 2021 sports year, 21-22. But I wonder, Mark, if everybody's waivers is going to get approved this spring because of the coronavirus. I wonder, even though the rule may not be in effect, but I wonder if you're the NCAA, do you really want to be going through every case right now? Or are you going to be inclined to just say yes or no?
Well, it's funny because it became official today, even though you announced this, I don't know, a month ago. It's all Groundhog's Day. But the young lady from Ohio State that transferred to FGCU, that became official yesterday, I believe.
Right.
She's got to sit out a year.
Well,
if this well, that's my question to you. If this passes, does she not?
Well, that's what we're going to find out. They also signed an Eastern Michigan transfer.
Right.
Who averaged 12 points a game as a freshman, 3 years of eligibility left. They'd love for her to be eligible right away. As of this week, both these players are going to have to sit out next year. But I do know there is the hope, even if this rule does not go into effect for another year, but there is the hope that because of the coronavirus that the NCAA is basically going to just give everybody a waiver. That they're not even going to examine the cases. They're going to be like, listen, we can't be bothered. We got enough on our plate. All right. If you want a waiver, we'll give it to you. You know, you transferred, you're eligible. Boom.
That's kind of what I thought. I mean, that was because I don't like the arbitrary you can play, you can't stuff.
Right.
I just don't like it.
Right. Well, once Justin Fields was able to immediately play at Ohio State, honestly, that's when I know in the college football world they said, okay, we got to do something.
Absolutely.
We've got to do something.
And that's the case in my head that I keep thinking of. I mean, yeah, the baseball player yelled a racially insensitive comment. There's no doubt. They kicked the kid off the team and kicked out of the school.
Right.
So if the university didn't handle that the right way, someone tell me what the right way is.
And he stayed on campus for 3 more months and then declared that I just don't feel safe here.
Right.
It's a hostile
which is bull.
And the NCAA went, all right, we don't want to get.
We're not going to fight that fight.
Right. We're not going to fight this fight. So,
but we all know it's bull. All he was doing was trying to play immediately, and I don't blame the kid. I'm not at all. But because one kid can lawyer up, which who the hell's paying for these attorneys is a whole different question. But one kid's able to lawyer up and become eligible. But one kid's not can't afford to lawyer up, and then they're ineligible. It's a crock.
Well, and they started granting so many waivers that when all of a sudden they would stop the occasional kid, it would stun everybody. It'd be like, what are you doing? And why this one?
Well, and some of the kids that they weren't allowing was just ridiculous.
Right. And especially since there were family illnesses involved and it was all legit and these weren't star players.
The basketball kid at Ohio State is the one that comes to mind. That everybody, including Ohio State,
said, please
let him play.
Right. He's a good guy. This is for legit reasons. Okay, we're completely behind this. And the NCAA said no. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kerwin, talk all things NFL. We talked off the field 2 days ago. Might talk a little on the field. Dak Prescott, I think, might come up with Pat Kerwin. What's his thoughts on this situation in Dallas? Miller and Moulton. Pat Kerwin next. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Our sound is a sound that makes you stop. Stop. And listen.
Listen to me and you listen well.
It's a collective voice that calls out to you, the fan.
We get a lot of zany people that call in.
This is our sound.
We're dealing with sick people here.
They're just absolutely nuts. Crazy stuff happens. That's all I'm saying.
And you can only get it here.
Get crazy, get wild.
On Fox Sports Radio.
Gotta go to Galliana.
Great news, Southwest Florida. Below invoice employee pricing at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. That's right. Below invoice pricing on Chrysler Pacificas, Jeep Wranglers, Jeep Gladiators, and heavy-duty Ram trucks. Over 1,500 new and certified pre-owned vehicles in stock. Loaded, luxurious Grand Cherokee Limited lease. 0 down, $269 per month. That's right. Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited. 0 down, $269 per month. Plus at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, you can drive payment-free for 4 months, interest-free for 6 years, and worry-free up to 100,000 miles. Our parts, service, and body shop are open to serve you. Below invoice employee pricing at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. 42 monthly. Some Jeep 10,000 miles per year. 0 to 8 signing plus tax, tag, title, doc, and dealer fee. 0 security deposit. $13.88 per month per thousand borrowed for 72 months at 0 APR with 0 down with lender approval.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new membership pricing starts as low as $99. Call 239-945-1664 for more information, or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
For professional roofing, the name you need to know is D.R. Martineau.
Dan Martineau here, owner of D.R. Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida. We're still finding a lot of roofs with hurricane and windstorm damage. Call us today for a free inspection. Google DRM Roofing or call 239.
Okay, will you shut my door then? We were just chatting. I didn't want to shut the door on you. Talk to you in a minute.
I'm a busy person.
Catch the show anytime. Check out Miller.
How far out are we, Giro?
Pool need a checkup? Call the doctor. The Pool Doctor.
Hi, Dr.
A
Mark.
minute,
Heat
minute,
pumps
2
take heat
minutes.
out of the air
Okay.
and put it in your pool. They cost less to run than gas heaters, and you won't have panels on your roof. Special pricing, rebates, and free on-site evaluations. We're a family company, and for over 40 years, we've been doing business right.
The prescription is the Pool Doctor for award-winning pool service, repairs, and unheard of $39 diagnostic calls. That's mypooldoctor.com or 239-574-1133. State certified CPC 057088.
This is Brian Creel here with my son Trace from Creel Tractor Company. We are open for business and taking all precautions necessary. We have teamed up with Kubota Tractor offering curbside pickup for your parts and parts delivery. And the service department is open and ready to assist with any repairs here or at your location. Kubota is offering discounts on parts for all your Kubota products and no payments for 90 days.
Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Pat. How are you?
I'm doing fine, my friend.
Figured you'd like that text I sent you a couple days ago. First person I thought of when I got that call.
Yeah.
My buddy called me and said, we're going to make one more run. I think I can get 60 to 100. I says, get whatever you can get. We'll get rid of them. I'm pretty confident.
I'm pretty confident you can as well.
Yep.
I thought it was totally over, so I'd already resigned myself to.
Season ends tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day, so we may have a couple more, but I'll get them today, and then I'll let you know when I can hook up with you.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that. I got my daughter and her husband coming down here.
Perfect.
Yeah, they're coming for 6 weeks, getting out of Jersey. So, but it was funny because I was out fishing about 2 weeks ago. We were out 60 miles. I couldn't believe how many traps were still out there.
Oh, yeah. But, they're just having problems. No one's working. They can't put the people in the houses. I saw a boat. We went to the Snook Inn in Marco. I took my mom to lunch on Saturday for Mother's Day. My daughter and my mom and I are at the Snook Inn there. And a crab boat comes by Marco River, stacked with traps, every one of them just full of stone crabs.
Yeah. Oh, man, because they haven't been out hauling them.
Right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I appreciate it, man.
.28 past the hour. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. From college to pro football we go. Pat Kerwin, kind enough to join us. From NFL Radio, CBS's NFL Today show. He does Moving the Chains with Jim Miller, 3 to 7 every day. And Pat joining us, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers back open in all locations. Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. Pat, how are you on this Thursday?
I'm doing fine. And, there's a never-ending wave of things you got to deal with every day. Although friends of mine think, oh, you must not be working. I go, no, football fans are fanatical, and there's a lot of things to worry about, think about, talk about. So between are there going to be camps, where are they going to have camps, all that business is going on. And just thinking about, just list out all the things that are going to break all the social distancing rules and ask yourself, can football exist? Like in dorm rooms, in locker rooms, in meeting rooms, in dining halls, in trainers' rooms, on the field, in the weight room. I mean, literally all those things break all the rules. So it's a challenge. It's going to be a real big challenge. And then I see coaches worrying about scrimmaging. I'll say this, and I used to run our scrimmages with other teams. we might have to look at scrimmages different. If the installation rate's going to be as slow as it appears it might be, you might have to scrimmage week 1 with a team and just go base offense versus base defense, because that's all you have installed. And the second week, scrimmage someone else and just go sub defense. And the third week, maybe goal line, show yards. But I think they're going to have to be creative, because a lot of coaches, Zim is a good example, worried about, do I have enough installed to even practice against someone? So I think everyone's trying to think creatively on how to get a season ready to go here.
Anyone that you talk to, Pat, since we're doing these virtual playbooks and trying to do everything we can to install, have you talked to people that have either on or off the record said, yeah, this just isn't working. This is bad. This is going to be a disaster?
They haven't gone that far yet, Mark, but they're nervous. And you can tell the telltale signs that any fan can follow them on the internet and find them. When Kingsbury says, yeah, right, they always give you the same answer. Yeah, I got it, coach. And so Danny and I come from the same world. It's the Pete Carroll method of teaching, and Pete has always been a believer. And I was proud to say I was part of helping him develop some of that stuff, identifying how a guy learns, and I've done some seminars for some other teams, coaching staffs, about you've got to be a great questioner. You cannot be lecturing on these internet virtual things, because you'll end up like Cliff Kingsbury going, yeah, I'm so tired of guys going, yeah, I got it, coach, because they're not challenged. It's a bad question to say, hey, do you guys understand? That's a terrible question. What do you think the answer always is? Yeah, I got
yes.
it. It's like terrible. So you have to learn how to really interact. And I used to say to guys, in a half-hour lecture, can you ask 20 questions? And they'll look at me like, oh, my God. I said, you got to plan that out. You have to have 20 questions on a piece of paper and the name of the guy you want to ask, because you suspect he's the one who won't know this. And Dan Quinn has turned it into a contest, a quiz contest, where they can bet on themselves. And so it takes some of the pressure off. But at the end of the day, what's Dan really doing? He's trying to solicit enough information back that they truly do get it. So I think this is where coaches are being challenged the most, Mark, in that this is not how they've taught in the past. They said, I'm going to give my lecture. Then I'm going to show them the cut-ups. Then we'll go out and have the walkthrough. And by the time the head coach watches my group practice, they should pretty much figure it out. Well, that's not how it's going to be now. And so you've got to become a better teacher. And some guys really need some help in this area. And I think if you don't help them, you're going to have a team full of dummies.
Well, did you find it interesting that Saquon Barkley was quoted earlier this week saying that he actually is getting more out of the Zoom meeting that they're doing? And this is interesting because also the Giants have a new coaching staff. So Saquon actually is going to have to learn a new offense, so to speak. But he's saying he's actually getting more out of these meetings than any meetings that he's had, going back to Penn State and his first couple of years with the Giants. Because I literally had you in mind from our Tuesday conversation when I read those Barkley comments later in the day, in which I went, well, you're the first person to say this.
Well, I appreciate, I've interviewed him enough to make a couple comments about him. He's a very bright guy, and he's very conscientious. So if you're bright and you're conscientious, you're trying to achieve knowledge. And it doesn't surprise me and he's an inquisitive guy. So because he is Barkley, he's not afraid to ask questions because he's Barkley. But if he was the third string guy scared that the coach thinks I'm not real smart, he's not raising his hand. We know how it goes in a classroom. Not proud to say I like sitting in the back and tried to hide behind a big guy whenever I was in school. So I'll tell you, David, if you were in my class, I'd be sitting behind you for 4 years.
Which is funny because that's where I was trying to get. So I guess we would have been in the last two rows.
Yeah, Mark, go find out what the homework is.
Yeah, I was just sitting next to Moulton cheating off of him, Pat. I make no mistake. I slept through the first 20 minutes of class and looked up and said, oh, C. I'm with you. Pat, in an interview yesterday, Stephen Jones told the Dallas Morning News, Dak is obviously the elephant in the room. Everyone knows it. We've just got to keep grinding. Well, everyone does know it. What's the latest? What's the news? What would you do?
I've talked to Stephen about it this week, and, he's not panicking in any way, shape, or form. And I sense when I hear a negotiator who's not panicking, he's either already resigned himself to the fact that on July 14th he's going to do whatever it takes to make sure there's a long-term deal, or he thinks they're pretty close now and they're down to issues like length of contract. And length of contract for a team like Dallas has a lot to do with creating cap space. The longer the deal, the more cap space you can create in the deal. And that provides them, which is what his common theme is when I talk to him. It's like, we got to get everybody under the cap. And that means a cap-friendly deal. Doesn't mean cash-friendly. And Dallas is well known. Dallas can stand on their merits of how much money they've paid guys. They're not afraid to spend it, and they got it. So it's really the one thing that levels Jerry Jones out, and Steven's kind of the gatekeeper on this, is the salary cap. If it was no cap, I think Jerry would turn into George Steinbrenner. He'd just buy the best team in the world, and he'd beat everybody all the time. But the cap kind of humanizes him to the sense that you got to play a little bit by these cap rules. And so he needs his quarterback to understand that. So they've got plenty of time. The only reason we're bringing it all up is there's nothing else to talk about in the minds of some of the media. So they're going to bring it up all the time. I did not sense at all that Steven was nervous or frustrated. And I usually can solicit that kind of emotion out of him if we talk long enough. So I don't think he feels that way. And I think they'll get it done. And we'll all look at the deal when it finally gets done on July 14th and kind of think, I don't know if I would have given him more money than Russell Wilson. What has he ever done? So it won't be about that, really. It's going to be about Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, who will wait, and they will get deals bigger than Dak Prescott. Now, if Prescott's agent is nervous about that, he'll be looking for balloon language that's going to pop him up, which they should not give him. Look at these other quarterbacks. There was a time when Brett Favre's contract looked like no one will ever have one of those, and people passed him, and then Rodgers' deal, and then Russell's really kind of held off the league for a couple of years, which in this business is hard to hold anyone off for 6 weeks, let alone 2 or 3 years. So if he passes Russell, so be it. Russell won't care, but the guys named Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, they're going to care, and they'll go past him, and I think they'll get to $40 million, especially Mahomes.
Yeah, no question about it. Pat, do you think, because if you really go back in time, I don't know if Jerry's won a negotiation with anybody. Jerry ends up paying. I mean, and so that's why it's interesting to a lot of us that because reportedly he's put 5 years at $35 million a season on the table, and he's guaranteeing over $100 million of it. He's basically guaranteeing the first 3 years. And Dak and his people only want it to be a 4-year deal because they want to reach free agency sooner so they, in theory, could make more money. Do you think that part of it is also Jerry looking, if you look at the last couple months in the NFL, Pat, one, they could get their hands on such a quality backup, but also it's not out of the question that both Matthew Stafford and Aaron Rodgers are available a year from now. Tom Brady just went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do you think that the reason Jerry and Steven are being so patient is like, listen, our plan A and plan B is Dak, but you know what? There are some pretty good plan C's out there that have never been possible before.
Yeah, I love the concept of it, but it's like betting on the draft, David. Okay, we're not going to take a quarterback this year because we're going to take one next year. Oh, next year comes and you're 3 slots away, and the guy in the slot where the Clemson quarterback's going to go isn't trading his spot. So you're betting on something you can't predict. You can think but I could sit here and say Rodgers is going to play for 4 years, and Jerry has another clock ticking in his life, and I don't think he's waiting 4 years, if in fact that's what happens there. And Stafford, it could be the same thing. So do you have factual information that the guy's available and they would trade him to you? And I don't think Jerry has enough information to say that. And so what if he takes Dak and he gets 3 years of as you point out, real money. And then all of a sudden along comes Rodgers. Now, I think we know Jerry well enough to know Jerry would do it anyway. And he'd go move Dak Prescott and eat a bunch of money. Talking about eating money, this is the other part of the fear. It would be my fear, but I didn't feel this way with Steven. There's two things: the Goff contract and a reminder that, did you really have to pay him right away? Did you really have to pay him that much? And the other thing was the Alex Smith contract. Alex Smith is the number one cap hit on the Redskins. And they can't get out from under him because March 17th, 2019, guaranteed his 2020 salary. So to dump Alex now, and God, they did the right thing by standing by him, but it's a $32 million cap hit for them. So inside of any deal with a quarterback, I'm not talking about the other guys, but the quarterback contracts that push the engine along, those guys, you make a mistake and it's a medical mistake, you couldn't predict it, or you make a mistake that he's not as good as you thought, and all of a sudden you're stuck with a deal that's the real elephant in the room. So I don't think I could bet on those things happening, but if they ever did come true, I think Jerry would trade Dak Prescott for whatever he could get and take on the new guy. Because I work for an older owner, and they hear Father Time loud and clear every morning when they wake up. They're happy to get up and look in the mirror. And I think Jerry wants to win so bad that he wouldn't mind taking that hit. But in the meantime, the 4-year deal, it's so easy to solve. I mean, they can solve it on July 14th. All right, let's make the 5th year a monster roster bonus and a huge salary that forces us to the bargaining table. That's not hard to do. You can do that. And if I bring that to you, the agent, David, and say, this is how we'll put the 5th year in because it helps me lean out the signing bonus now, the agent's going to say, yeah, that's fine. I mean, Belichick did it with Darrelle Revis and many others. He doesn't like 1-year deals. He likes 2-year deals so he can control the guy in the 2nd year. And the agent will turn around and say, okay, we'll do that, but you got to write into this contract no franchise tag after 5 years. So there's always that, and they can figure it out.
Pat, I offered up our Twitch TV audience to chat in with any questions, and if they're any good, I'll ask one. Well, we got a good one. Has the NFL or any team hired an infectious disease doctor to help them with the start of training camps in the season? You've talked about at the beginning of this interview, and we did it on Tuesday, about camp, where we're going to have it, what we're going to do. What proactively is the NFL doing as far as bringing in outside people to help get these problems solved?
Well, there are doctors that are dealing with the league office and helping them create policy, realistic policy. So the NFL has any and every resource possibly known to man. So they can go all the way to the top and talk to Dr. Fauci if they want to, and they have been, to my knowledge. And secondly, the team doctor staff, and there's a staff of doctors, most of them are extremely well connected. I'm just thinking of our team doctors. They could get on the phone with anybody in any hospital in New York and get the information the club might need. And so I don't think they want for more information. I will say this. I don't know if we talked about it 2 days ago, but I was told by someone that if it's going to land up being a 25% stadium capacity to adhere to all the rules, that they're going to offer all the season ticket holders 2 games each. That has not been verified, but it was brought to me by someone I trust, and he said, yeah, they're talking about that. So we get 8 home games. We're going to be 25% capacity. Season ticket holders are going to get 2 games each. And, you might buy marks and go to 4 games, but you're going to be allocated some form of 2. Now, that's not confirmed, but I like where I got it from.
Pat, every week, seemingly, I ask you about all the good players that are still available. I was thinking the other day about Jason Peters. There are still teams out there who didn't get their tackle in the draft. I'm thinking about the Chargers. I'm thinking about the Broncos. Is it a case of he really just wants to return to Philadelphia? Or is it, for whatever reason, the market is not there, or the teams that are interested, he's not interested in them? Because he still played at a high level last year. And I mean, I'm trying to figure out why it is some of these players. There are still about 20 really good players out there. Like, a team was talking about bringing in, I think it was the Eagles, bringing in Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde had 1,100 yards last year. I mean, I'm trying to figure out why some of these guys are still available.
Yeah, I got, my days in pro personnel forces me to, as a habit, redo the pro board basically once a week. And you're very accurate on this one, David. There's a lot of good players still out there. And actually, Jim and I, kind of tongue-in-cheek, put a team together of who's out there. Just a full-blown 53-man roster. And you know what we concluded? We could win some games. So there's enough guys out there to have a football team. And so you might like part of it. I know the pass rush crowd is the best. Of all the positions that are still available, when you look at the guys who can rush the passer, and Jim and I start pass rushing units today around the NFL. But, Clowney and Griffin and Golden and Cam Wake and Suggs and Vinnie Curry and Ziggy Ansah, to some, you don't have to like all of them, but all those guys have been professional pass rushers, and they're all available. Here's what I think is really going on with all of them. Their price tags are still too high. And the biggest problem the GMs are telling me is we don't have the mini camp and we don't have the OTAs, and I can't let my new coach especially evaluate what we have. Typically, after the mini camps, there's a huge staff meeting. You sit in a room, everyone's got a notepad, and one coach at a time stands up and says, okay, I just spent 3 days with these guys. This rookie is not what we thought. He can't play man-to-man in the secondary, so we keep an outlook for a corner that can play man. Hey, the pass rusher, all the guy can do is bull rush. We need a guy with more dynamics than that to start the season. So those evaluations aren't going on. And then the OTAs, you kind of and a lot of guys said to me, I miss the old college tryouts because in the mini camps they brought in a ton of extra guys not under contract and called it tryout camp. And in fact, that's where Pittsburgh found the young quarterback that started 8 games for him. So they're missing that. Then they miss the OTAs where the coaches really start to drill down. And then there's a little signing period right after those OTAs. Now, how are you going to have that signing period? And in the meantime, since we're not practicing, the sense of urgency to sign guys is not as strong as it should be. And consequently, you got a lot of names out there. If you start looking at the names, you don't have to like them all. But when I hear Pittsburgh is looking for a nose tackle, well, Snacks Harris is out there. You can Snacks Harris and go get him if you want to clog up the middle like Casey Hampton did. You're right about Carlos Hyde. LaShawn McCoy's, and we're starting to hear some guys fish around like, oh, yeah, I'm talking to clubs. They are, but they're asking for too much. So until that price comes down, and it may never come down, you're going to see a bunch of guys on the street.
Pat, as always, appreciate your time and your insight. Stay safe, hit them straight, and talk again next week.
Oh, I always like talking football with you guys. It gets my day going. But, yeah, enjoy your day, and I'll talk to you next week. Some days, I don't know. I'll figure it out next week.
Talk to you soon, Pat.
Take care, boys.
Depends on the tea time these days. We understand. Pat Kerwin, he of CBS's NFL Today and of NFL Radio, moving the chains with Jim Miller every weekday from 3 until 7. Pat joining us courtesy of Pinchers and joining us on the Goldberg Noon Abraham Law Firm hotline, goldberg-law.com. The good, the better, and the best as we put this Thursday, May 14th to bed. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Welcome to the program.
This is the Dan Patrick Show.
I saw where ESPN had a poll question today, and it was greatest basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan or LeBron James. I go, I don't think you do that today. That might not be fair to LeBron today or the next couple of weeks. The next couple of Mondays after this, don't do that. Not fair to LeBron.
Dan Patrick. The Dan Patrick Show. Weekdays at 9 a.m. on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
We've got our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples, on the phone. We're talking about their huge selection and great pricing on Core-Tec flooring. Tim, tell us what's new at the store.
Right now we have 90 colors of Core-Tec in stock, ready to go, pick up, put down as soon as you want it. Everything from starting at $299 on up. with lifetime warranty.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tech that you have. You also have other Core-Tech products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tech Stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tech, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tech Wood. Look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floormeisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online, floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
A big part of enjoying a good bike ride are all the sights you see along the way.
So when David and I both developed cataracts, it didn't take long for us to do something about it.
Turns out some of the best cataract surgeons in the world are right here in our area at Community Eye Center.
We really care about improving people's lives by improving their vision.
Dr. Spalding and Dr. Spatafor really do care about helping people, and we're so glad they helped us.
They're excited. We share in that excitement. It makes us feel great about what we do.
Hi, this is Dr. Scheibel from Community.
Man, we just can't catch a break. It's pouring all over the Keys again. We need rain. I mean, the alley's shut down right now
because of the
fires from 101 to 82.
Play golf and go fishing and go to work and do the things we like to do. We are spreading the virus. The virus can only move with us. Over 65.
I guess 82, the eastbound lane open. The westbound's still closed.
Don't be a spreader.
Why would someone take a chance on purchasing a frameless shower door from a big box store or an online discounter of an obscure brand, and then try and find a licensed, qualified installer to put it in, when you can deal directly with a local, family-owned business that consults, measures, manufactures, and installs their own award-winning brand of shower doors? My Shower Door is a family-owned and operated business and has the highest ratings.
Yeah, you'd
on
have
the
to go
Interest List and Home
41,
Advisor.
right?
Want to see more?
Well, no, you can take Immokalee Road out to 82 to State Road or to State Road 29, not Highway 82, exit 82. Basically, from 101 to 82, it's close. So you can go around, Immokalee Road down to 29 and jump on there, because the alley's open east of that exit. Yes, it is because of the fire. And anybody in Collier County is probably seeing a decent amount of smoke all day because the winds are just gusting. Yeah. Nothing like a brush fire in 30-mile-an-hour winds.
Right.
Dan Martineau here, owner of DR Martineau Roofing of Southwest Florida.
Yeah, we really needed that rain that they forecasted from Mother's Day.
That would have been so good, because if we got dumped on hard like we were supposed to, we don't have any of these fires. And it has been so damn dry.
Well, we needed a good, solid, all-day soaker. Inch and a half of rain.
And it's pouring. We might get it this weekend, because there's that tropical depression.
Yeah, didn't they say today is supposed to be the day we're supposed to get something?
Devitt just said it missed us. It's in the Keys. He said maybe tomorrow. And I don't need tomorrow because I got a tea time tomorrow.
Beggars can't be choosers. Come on now.
I understand, but, Mom's taking the daughter for a day. I finished the show. We're heading to exit 101 to meet Mom. I get right back on the highway to the golf course for a tea time. Pumped.
Well, we've hit rock bottom.
Let me say something. I'm in a glass case of emotion.
You know things are really bad when Waffle House is closed and Mark Miller has a positive attitude.
Let's pump the brakes there.
With that being said, here's our brand new bright and shiny segment. Mark Miller's The Good, The Better, and The Best. Man, I hope we get back to normal fast. This is weird.
You're live.
For the good, we go to the Mattel Corporation and Barbie dolls, because Mattel started a Thank You Heroes Barbie program. Every doll sold between May 14th and May 17th, they are donating a doll to the First Responders Children's Foundation. Mattel will be giving away up to 30,000 of the dolls to the foundation for kids of frontline workers. Good job by them. For the better, we go to Central Florida, where a woman's being called a hero. You may have seen the video from this yesterday. Billy Bass says he was eating. Really? His name's Billy Bass. Do his friends call him Big Mouth?
Largemouth. Yep.
Largemouth was eating a steak at his home near Orlando when a piece of it got stuck in his throat. He immediately ran across the street to his neighbor's house. From the doorbell cam, you can see him ringing the doorbell, see her answering the door, and then Bass pointing to his throat. She knew what she was doing. She went all Heimlich. Food came out right away, and now Bass calls Karen Aranda his Wonder Woman. I was shaken up. She was shaken up. We just hugged each other, embraced, and I said, "You saved my life."
You ever been somewhere and either you've had to or you've seen someone do the Heimlich on someone?
No, the only thing close to it is I remember I think in 8th grade that someone was, choking on lunch and someone yelled, "Give him the Heimlich," and he started kind of laughing so hard that just forced the piece of pizza to go flying across the room. And that was our version of the Heimlich from then on. Just a lot of laughter. I take it you have watched someone?
Yes. Yep.
Everybody applaud, I'm sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're a pretty cynical society, but we do prefer people not choke to death because, Mark, if for no other reason, it really does ruin the meal.
Right. I mean, if the person dies from choking to death, is your meal then free?
I think if it's your table, it should be, or immediately surrounding. I do think it's tough to negotiate it if you're on the other side of the room, though. I think that's a tough sell.
And for the best, we go to the Carolinas, where Barry Abernathy has always loved music, and he had a birth defect with only a thumb and part of his index finger on his left hand, and he was determined to learn how to play the banjo. He did. He's had a successful music career. He's even been nominated for 2 Grammys.
Wow.
Last year, his daughter told him about a pair of siblings at a daycare that she works with. The kids, Tyler and Zoe, were in foster care, and the little boy has the same exact birth defect as Abernathy. He went to meet them. 4-year-old Tyler immediately told him, "You're my dad." They were never thinking about adopting, but when they saw the kid, they felt like it's what they needed to do. The adoption has been finalized, and Zoe and her little brother are happy in their new home. Their proud papa says there's no doubt it was meant to be.
1 minute.
Awesome.
That is awesome. And that is the good, the better, and the best. On today, May the 14th, 9 weeks since the sports world has ended, and it's starting to really affect one David Moulton, who is on the verge of watching Korean baseball.
No, I tried. No.
Oh, you did try?
3 minutes. Honestly, didn't make it 3 minutes. Now, I wonder if I'll feel the same way about televised sports in this country with no fans.
Well, Joe Buck pointing out that they're going to pipe in noise on Fox.
Right. Yep.
Pretty much a done deal, it said.
Yep. Even though he may not be broadcasting on site. How weird will that be? It's possible he could be broadcasting from their studios in Los Angeles, football and baseball. NASCAR this weekend, the announcers will be in Charlotte. Race will be in South Carolina. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Okay, you guys have a good day. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, Gerald.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Kia in Fort Myers is open, and we're here to help. Over 400 vehicles in stock. New 2020 Kia Forte LXS lease. 0 down.
Wow.
$49 per month.
Fan has actually performed a Heimlich. Congratulations for a success. Obviously, it was successful, or you wouldn't have posted it there.
Although if it wasn't,
I did it once on my dad. It didn't work. I mean, you really can't go with that.
If it wasn't successful, do tell. Do tell. We'll book you at 7:30 tomorrow. Speaking of which, when we were talking about the transfer thing at the end of the Bud Elliott, Kavanaugh called me during the break, and he said, "You guys."
Hang on, I'm going to turn that. Bye, everybody.